for the crack appeal, and there were two people that came in, I think, that were for Runaround Pond. I figured I'd set them all out, but Jill's not here tonight, so just in case.
Cool. You could feel it right here. It's kind of. You start covering the windows with plastic. Oh, nothing in my book. Absolutely nothing in my book.
No, she's been clipping them together. Did you have a package clipped in your box?
No. I just grabbed everything that was in my box.
You want to ask her?
That was part of this budget stuff, no?
She probably has it.
Harvard, okay, there's another one.
Yeah, there's two of them.
Signed up 2 last time too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Durham's gonna be a wet town?
Already is.
Yes, it is.
And actually,
All we need is a pump, right?
It's nice seeing them getting some rentals. So 3 of them were rentals, and 1 was for the ambulance itself.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see them getting some rentals
Yeah.
now.
I guess we should have a pub in town then, huh?
I hope it would be nice if they started the fish fry up again or something.
Yeah. That was really a good deal. I don't know if that'll happen or not. But.
Just don't let Norm get his hands
Huh?
Oh, I do.
on it. Norm
Yeah.
get his hands on it.
I have a question for you, gentlemen. Since I'm on the Legislative Policy Committee,
Don't do
the
it.
MMA, and we've been asked for an opinion. And I thought I would ask you what your opinion is on, there is some proposed legislation to go the route of Colorado. People have looked at the tax revenues realized by the state of Colorado for legalizing marijuana. The statute gives municipalities a tremendous amount of control, certainly a lot more control than they have over the medical marijuana stuff, as far as licensing and tax, independent taxing, and yes in our town, not in our town. And the LPC is soliciting opinions for or against. And I thought before I gave them mine, I would just ask, since we are all on the Board of Selectmen together.
I'm indifferent.
I mean,
I've heard
strongly
negative.
against,
I've heard-
absolutely
I've heard-
against, but medical marijuana, if it's a medicinal purpose, I don't have a problem with, because, I mean, it's medicine,
Right.
it's used as medicine, but as far as recreational, I'm strongly against.
And I guess it all depends on, because the federal says it's still illegal, but some of the states are saying it is legal, so that's something that has to be worked out.
Right, I think the federal is gonna have, they're already looking at certainly reclassifying, rescheduling it, but,
Basically, as long as no feds are around, you can do it, but the feds can still arrest you.
well, the DEA is sort of, the feds have said in states that have legalized it,
No, what's the other
we're
one?
not gonna pursue it.
Yeah. For me, and I could be just. Sometimes and it's because of how I see that doctors put up prescription pills a lot of times. I wonder how many of these medical marijuanas are just crutches.
could be.
And they may not be.
Right,
But as far as the recreational part, as long as you could somehow be able to test for it like you do with alcohol, I've said for a long time, as long as it's not any worse, and it doesn't appear to be any worse than alcohol,
Right.
and it doesn't go into something further, which I guess it doesn't appear to be, why don't we get the revenues for it? But you gotta be able to,
right, and I understand that they have been
Do
working
something
on-
like you do
because
with
that's,
alcohol, so
you
there's
can
no-
do the roadside
Yeah.
test
She's getting to the point though where she
for
can
alcohol.
fall
but-
I personally don't use it and I don't care.
So
I have tried it, unlike Clinton, I did inhale, I don't know how else you can try it, but, but it's just not for me, but
have you ever been in
looking at it that way,
the historical?
I'd say get the revenues, because there's a ton of revenues for it. But
Yeah.
you gotta be able to regulate it somehow.
We have in our office, we have.
That's the tough one.
Just like that, but it's in the napkin.
I was against it for a
The
long
next
time,
session,
but
we should talk about the 10-year contract with the School of Record.
Oh, hey, Lisa.
Talking to them up there, they say, oh yeah, go through your,
hope the stuff is in order and I haven't just messed it all up.
stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that there
There's something
should
behind
be
you.
some discussion about
They
that.
already have
I
done
think-
some things on that.
Right, but I think that,
We're already a little bit late.
Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed.
You ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Anytime, Shannon. Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. 4 out of 5 selectmen are here. Could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any amendments to the agenda other than what we have in yellow?
Just the application for the BYOB permit,
Okay, yeah, that's written in here.
and then the correspondence from Diane.
Okay, so that was going under consent agenda as well?
Yeah, just
Okay.
correspondence.
Okay. Any public comment this evening? And we've got you under an agenda item, so. Public comment? Okay, consent agenda, and note that under the consent agenda, there are 2 BYOB permits for at the Ambitsall.
Move we accept the consent agenda as presented?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Action and discussion, Tri-Town Track and Field Project proposal. And if you can come up to the mic here so everybody can hear on the recording and stuff.
You have videos, people can watch us at home.
Yep, if
That's
they,
great.
they can
Could
watch
be
it
exciting.
live if they have cable.
Okay,
And we put it up on the web.
okay. So when we show, we've got some stuff to show, so you just tell me where to hold it so you can see it.
I think probably right where you are. We've got a camera right behind me, and I think that can be adjusted.
My name is Lisa Vogue. I live here in Durham, and I'm a member of the Dry Town Track Project. And this is John Patterson. He's the secretary, also a board member, and we're here to present to you, give you information about the project that we've been working on since summer.
Thanks for having us here, we appreciate it. We made a presentation a couple weeks ago to the Pownell Selectmen, and we've got a meeting coming up with the Freeport Town Council at a workshop in about 2 weeks. I've lived in Freeport for about 35 years. My kids went to Freeport schools, Freeport High School, and my kids don't live around here anymore, so what we're going to talk about tonight is not going to affect my kids or grandchildren because they all live hundreds of thousands of miles away. Why don't I start just by showing you quickly what we are here to talk about, and then Lisa and I will bounce back and forth as we explain some of the stuff to you. This is a blow-up of the an aerial view of the current high school and the athletic facilities. You can see they're basically, not counting baseball, which has got a fence around it, there's 3 fields. This is the field hockey field, which is dedicated just for field hockey. If you played field hockey, you got to play it like on a billiard table, so you can't have other sports played on that because it upsets the way the ball runs through. So these are basically the 2 fields we have now, which are different in size, and they're kind of overlapping. And there's a softball field up here. And the situation is such that these fields are in very bad shape because of tremendous overuse. It wouldn't seem like that would be the case, but Freeport High School was sited at a time back it was built in '61, so the siting would have been done before that, at a time before they really gave thought the way they do now to high schools, make sure they have adequate number of athletic fields. So as a consequence, what happens is these fields with 5 teams in the fall and 6 in the spring get really, and with all the daily practices, all those teams every day, and then all the home games, the fields get badly chewed up. And then when you have the softball team practicing or playing in the spring, it even gets worse because you have to move these teams' practices away from the softball field so you don't interfere with the ability of the softball games to go and practices to go ahead. So that's just a quick overview. I'll come back to it in a bit. This is what we're all about. And as you can see, the proposal is to put in a track behind the high school. And the effect of putting in a track is actually to eliminate one of those fields because the track is so large. And to move the baseball diamond over to the what is currently the field hockey field. Having the baseball infield there, the softball infield there would make it unusable as a field hockey field. So you could do practices on it, but basically all the games and all the practices and everything from football, field hockey, soccer, everything, varsity, junior varsity, and freshmen, would all have to take place mostly on one field. And if you left that just as a grass field, it would turn into a mud pit. So that's why this is a track and turf project, because the proposal is to make this into an artificial turf field. Total cost for the project is $3.2 million. Let me tell you how I got involved in this, if I might. I think it's kind of an interesting story about how a community effort of this sort started. I do a lot of, I don't know if anybody you guys know Fred Palmer. He lives in Freeport. He's a businessman in Yarmouth, sort of semi-retired. Fred and I do a lot of mentoring with kids at risk, boys at risk in the various schools, mostly for odd reasons at Mount Ararat, in fact. But he and I would meet once a week to plan our programs and with these kids. And we would talk about all sorts of things. And one of the things we talked about just now, almost a year and a half ago, was the proposal by Freeport to withdraw from the RSU. And we talked all about that, pros and cons, and we argued about it. And after the vote was taken, the two of us sat together and said, okay, we are where we are. We both care about public education. What can we do to make the schools as good as we can as private citizens? We can't go into schools and teach. We're not teachers, What is there that we can do to help the system? So we went in to see the high school principal, a new guy named Brian Campbell, who I have a lot of respect for. And first words out of Brian's mouth were, he said, "You can build me a track and field." And we were a little bit taken aback by that, because it seemed like a lot bigger of a thing than we had contemplated taking on. And as we talked to Brian about it and looked into it more, we learned a lot of stuff. And we learned that there had been 3 attempts, both before and after the RSU, to have a bond issue passed to build these facilities, and they all failed. We got an idea of how much it would cost. And so we decided to see, was this something that we could really take on? And I'll transfer it to Lisa, and you can talk about what happened next, from your perspective.
So they started a working group, and they reached out into the communities, and we're trying to involve people from Pownell and Freeport and Durham to be involved in getting together private funding in order to essentially gift to the RSU all the money they would need to build this track and field. The reason I got involved, I have a daughter she went to Durham Community School for a few years. Now she's an athlete at the high school. And for my family and for her, I think athletics is a very important part of school. It's good for the students to be involved. So we're very supportive of athletics in the community. For her, after she goes, I'll continue to be supportive of athletics in both communities. So that's sort of how I came to be involved in the project.
For me, this was an odd project to undertake, because I was never much of a sports guy. I mean, I rode the bench in high school. I was a lousy athlete. I was more of an arts and drama kind of person. That was what my love was. And Fred was more into sports, and as we talked about it, we decided we'd collaborate and support each other on it. And as I thought more about the track and field request that Brian had made of us, I came to the realization that, as Lisa said, it's more than just about athletics. That's a fundamental part of the educational process. That's important to have athletics. And I've just brought for you guys, if you're interested, it's a collection of studies done by the National Federation of State High School Associations. And every study that's been done shows that kids who play athletics every study shows this, higher grade point averages, lower drug use, lower tobacco use, lower absenteeism, higher graduation rates, better post-high school performance. And given the kind of kids that I work with and mentoring, a lot of them who have no connection with high school at all. There's nothing about high school which speaks to them. Trying to teach them about the Peloponnesian War or how to calculate the area of a sphere is not something which they have any interest in. But for a lot of kids, it is a connection to school, high school especially, because high school is the really hard one. It's a connection to school which they wouldn't otherwise have, and it keeps a lot of kids in school. and teaches them values which they, at the end of the day, they may not know anything about the Peloponnesian War, but they learn teamwork and self-discipline and the importance of self-sacrifice and hard work. And so I became persuaded, even though I was never an athletic guy, that, yeah, I believed that there was an important element of high school, and that what we had at Freeport High School for our outdoor athletic facilities was really second rate. Second rate because it turns out, and I also learned this in looking into it, it's the only high school of Class A or Class B size in all of Western Maine that doesn't have a track. The only one. And in the entire state of Maine, all Class A and B high schools, there's only 3 that don't have a track, and Freeport's one of them. And we said, that's just, I mean, I came to the conclusion that just wasn't acceptable. It was just second rate, that we were asking these kids, and the kids notice it. They go to other schools for games and stuff, and they notice that other schools have better facilities. They're not stupid. And it says something to them about the kind of value that we're placing upon the education that we're providing to them. So I came to the conclusion that this was something that I wanted to put my energy into. You want to pick up there, and what are we going to talk about next? And I'm going to forget.
Just sort of like what we've been doing as far as trying to meet our fundraising goal, I think was the next area that we were going to get into. We also have
Oh, yeah, well,
handout.
I've got a, just to give you everything we have, just that there's an estimated cost of all of this, a budget that we came up with, working with our building committee. I think I may have had another handout too that I may have. You can see where the $3.2 million comes from. And we had there's something over in that pile there that That's your stuff? Okay.
That's what Mike used
We
to
have a
say.
very small, we're doing this on a real shoestring. We, you do a capital campaign for a lot of organizations, and you hire expert consultants, and we're doing this all by ourselves. We've got probably an total operating out-of-pocket expenses of photocopying and the like, which are we estimate this year we're probably going to spend about $15,000 or $16,000 to do this whole thing. So we're not spending a lot of money on this. You want to talk about our fundraising targets? You want me to do that?
You can do that.
You want to do it? Me or me?
Go ahead.
Okay, no.
So we sort of started with the fundraising to sort of go with, lead gifts or sponsors that you would call them, and I'm sure you all saw the recent press release where we were able to get $1 million from Nike to support the project. And if you look at the targets that we're passing around, there's also the $8,000 from the RSU. That's come up in conversation as well. Right now, there's $600,000 that is for the grass renovations. That would have to go to a vote to be able to sort of repurpose that to go towards our project. That's definitely not something that's done, but something that they've talked about when you met with RSU at your meeting. And then you can see we're sort of working through major gifts, business community gifts, foundations, the board of directors themselves, every single one of us have contributed in order to put towards the project. And then you'll see the section where we are going to the different towns to see if they're willing to contribute money. You can see Freeport, we're asking 100. Pownell, you said you met last week?
We met about 2 weeks ago
2
at
weeks
Pownell,
ago.
yeah.
For a similar donation, and then we'll be working through the individual communities and families to sort of finish up to get the end of that to get to our 3.2 goal.
So you can see we've raised, and I say raised, we have it in hand. Well, I have commitments for 1.2 actually. We are hoping to get the RSU to use some of the monies in the high school renovation bond for the track and field. Let me explain that a little bit. The high school is currently being renovated. The bond issue was $14.4 million. Of that 14.4, there was $600,000 in the bond that was designated to rebuild the grass fields. Basically tear them all up, put in a new base, put in drainage, recontour them, and give them a little bit of a crown. And that $600,000 was already there in that $14.4 million. It was embedded in it. And what we've asked the RSU Board of Directors to consider is transferring, or what we've called repurposing that $600,000 from building fields which a goat can eat to building fields which a goat can't eat, track and field. And in addition, we think that there may be a slight surplus. I can't be entirely sure of this, so I don't want to represent to anybody that it's a certainty. The bids for the high school renovation came in below estimate. So there may be another piece of surplus in there. And we've asked the RSU if they would consider transferring or authorizing up to $800,000 of that to be used as part of the total package, the $3.2 million package. Now, before they do that, it's going to have to send that out to a referendum in the whole RSU for everybody. Because they've got a legal opinion which says before they can repurpose monies in the bond issue, they have to get authorization from the voters. So we're not exactly sure when they're going to decide to do all that. In fact, they haven't taken a vote yet to actually do this, although they have postponed accepting bids on rebuilding the grass field. So we've talked to them twice about this at length to explain everything that we're working on. And at the risk of, to the extent that there's some misunderstanding about the $800,000, some people seem to think that that's going to have an impact on taxes in some way. It will not, because that money already is in the bond issue, and the obligation to pay that back already exists. It's simply saying, as I said before, instead of using it to build a natural grass field, using it to build an artificial grass field and a track. So that has no impact on any budget.
Except that to the extent that the high school is under budget and we don't need all the funds that were authorized for the renovation, funds that were from the bond that were not used in renovation would be essentially returned to the taxpayers by using them to pay down the bond. It would be money that we wouldn't have to borrow.
I suppose in theory, well, I don't know what the bond indenture says. Sometimes you can't prepay bond indentures.
I believe last year's school budget reflected a prepayment on the bond to save interest, so I would assume that prepayment is permissible.
We'd still have to pay interest on that chunk of it, yeah. You're right. Conceivably, you could do that. The question is whether people think that's the wise thing to do.
Right,
and whether you prepay it or not, you still have to pay interest on that $600 because you borrowed it. Arguably somewhat less interest, I guess, because you're prepaying it some of it earlier. But I think there was some belief among some people that you could use it to defray operating costs, and you can't do that. You can't use bond money to pay teachers' salaries or to buy books. You either use it for, well, frankly, what I think...
But it has to apply to the way the warrant was worded.
Yes.
It has to apply to the strict language of the warrant.
Of the bond indenture, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think my own judgment as to what would happen is that suppose the voters decided they don't want to repurpose this for the artificial turf field and the track. The whole project may very well fail at that point, because without that $800,000, our task of raising the full 3.2 would be maybe insurmountable. As it is, we've got to raise 2.4. We're halfway there. We've got to raise another 1.2. Trying to raise the entire 3.2 would be impossible, I think, absent somebody coming along with another $1 million out of the sky. So if I were the high school, the RSU board, I think what I'd probably do is simply say, well, okay, that was a nice try. We're going to use the money to build the grass fields. So I think the likelihood of it being refunded would be...
No, I didn't mean the 600, but you were talking about, I understand that 600 was allocated for field repair, grass field repair. But you are also, this fundraising target indicates 800 from the RSU. And
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
That there was 200 in cost savings as part of the high school.
We think it's sort of, yes,
right.
Sort of fingers crossed.
So whether or not, that was the amount that, and you were saying that wouldn't have a tax impact. That was what I was referring to is if the bond that was specifically for the high school renovation, if that came in under budget, that $200,000 would either not be borrowed or it would pay down the principal
you can simply repay that $200
which would
early.
reduce the indebtedness that the communities are paying. So it does have some financial impact on the community.
We may be being overly optimistic about there being a surplus at all. Because I think what they're doing is looking at some things that they thought they weren't going to be able to afford at
Right,
the high
there
school.
are things that were cut out
There's
that they're
things that
trying
were cut
to
out,
get
yeah.
back in.
There are a few really hideous bathrooms that really need to be, and I think they had cut those out, and I think they're going to probably put them back in. So we may be being overly optimistic about there being a surplus at all. So that's why I said in the footnote to what I gave you, there's certainly going to be $600,000, which was earmarked just for the grass field. And one way or the other, that's going to be spent either in grass field or in this project. So,
What's the life expectancy of the track and field?
in northern states, it's longer than in southern states because of heat considerations, somewhere around 12 plus years. The replacement cost is somewhere in the $400,000 to $500,000 range, but don't hold me to that. I'm just dragging this up from memory. What we think is likely is that, and we've talked to the school committee about this also, when you take a look at the maintenance cost for the grass fields, it'd be a substantial savings on maintenance, because you don't have all the seeding and everything. So what we suggested is that they would take that and put it in an annual sinking fund, and at the end of 12 years, probably have enough to replace the turf field. There would be some annual maintenance for artificial turf, but not nearly as much. There are machines that you essentially they're like giant vacuum cleaners, and they go over it and they pick up metals and metal and paper clips and things that fall in it, and otherwise refurb it, fluff it up a little bit. But the maintenance cost for the turf field is much lower than for a grass field. So hopefully, if they act wisely, they'll have that sinking fund to replace the turf field. I answered more than your question.
Oh, I appreciate
Well,
it.
and do the maintenance, presumably that includes some kind of, essentially, since it's a impervious surface, some kind of sanitizing, and we're talking, bacteria, we're talking if a kid gets injured and bleeds on the field. I mean, how does that piece, in a regular grass field, it all gets filtered out into the dirt and filtered through?
There's drainage. The whole thing drains. It drains like a regular dirt field. There are these artificial grass leaves, these things that come up, and there's a stuff they call infill, which it's the substitute for dirt, but the whole thing is constructed so that it's essentially porous, because when it rains on it, the rain's got to go somewhere, so it goes down in it, and there's subsurface drainage on it. So presumably the bloody knee would go the same place on this as it would on a dirt field. Which takes me, do you want to talk about the infill stuff?
The Nike grind
Yeah.
stuff, I think you probably know more about that than I do.
Okay, I'm doing all the
I'm not
talking, I'm
used
sorry.
to doing a lot of talking.
Yes, sir.
I've read a couple articles and actually heard some of it on the news about some of these artificial turfs that had a lot of health risks, kind of different than what Sarah had mentioned. Is there been any research on that? In some cases, they've assumed or put out that it could cause cancer, some cases. So,
Two answers to your question. The first is, when we first started, we created a committee to look into health issues, and the chairman of our committee was Pat Palmer, who was the former principal of the high school. And her kids went there, so Pat's not going to cut corners. She and her committee did a literature search, and it turns out there's no study that says that it's called crumb rubber. You take old tires and they grind it up, essentially make it into like the consistency of dirt. Apparently there are gases released when you do that. The studies say that those are released at the site where the grinding is done, but once it's placed on the field, it doesn't happen. So there's no study that in fact says that there's a risk. There have been some anecdotal reports of it, one of which made the NBC News a few months ago. But we decided that, notwithstanding that, because there was enough concern about it, we were going to recommend, and in fact, as a condition of giving the money to the school committee, would insist that they use something called Nike Grind. Nike makes a material which is basically the waste from making sneakers, and it's ground up and it's used as an infill. Of all the artificial turf fields in Maine, high school and college, and there are a number of them, Yarmouth, Greeley, Bowdoin, they all use crumb rubber. There are 2 other fields in Maine that use Nike Grind, and we're going to recommend to the school committee that they use Nike Grind. It's somewhat more expensive, but it allays any concerns about health risks.
Well, presumably the $1 million donation from Nike is contingent on using their product?
It's in fact, actually, they haven't given us all the contingencies yet, but we told them we're gonna do it anyway. We don't have to use it for the field. It's only contingent with respect to the track. But we're gonna do it for the field because that's where most of the public concern about it comes from.
Right, even the American Academy of Pediatrics speaks to some concerns about the artificial turf.
About Nike, about crumb
Not
rubber.
about, just about artificial turf in general and the off-gassing and skin contact with it.
Yeah, but they haven't done a study. It's an expression of a concern, but we've seen studies, and I can get you the sites if you like. We have a website, Tri-Town Track, and in there, there's reference to it, and there are links to some of the studies that we found. There's been some pressure on EPA, although they had a lot of fish to fry.
I was gonna say, there's always pressure on the EPA.
Yeah, to do a study of this. Nobody seems to know whether or not they're gonna do anything about it, but we said, look, why have an argument over it at all? Let's use Nike Grind, and that's the end of it.
Is there a chance that there could be some unexpected cost overruns on this project?
Yeah, and we
Not
put,
necessarily the field, but the whole,
the high school?
yeah.
You got me, pal. I don't know. I'm not on the building committee.
I mean, I'm asking that because you threw out the 600,000 for the thing and then the 200 that you was kind of hoping, but then you mentioned that they may be looking at the bathrooms for that. I mean, they're tearing into an old building. I'm sure the contractor's probably done this more than once, so they've tried to encompass everything they might run into, but history shows in projects like that, they usually find something they didn't expect, and next, the budget goes up. So where do they get that money? Do they come back to the townspeople for that, or, I mean, how's it gonna affect the budget they have now?
And it
Yep,
depends
the
on
operating
their
budget,
bid.
you
If
mean?
their
Right.
bid is
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know how it
then
is.
they get what they get.
Yeah, I haven't seen the contracts they have with the contractors, and whether they're fixed price contracts or not, fixed price contracts. So I'm not qualified to answer your question. But if where you're going is this, suppose there's no surplus, and suppose they have to eat up some of the $600,000 for the field. Well, at the end of the day, we're not gonna make our 3.2. I guess we have to figure out what we do.
Is there
I don't know.
a potential opportunity to work with the town of Freeport also? Because I know at the beginning of your presentation, one of the things you pointed out was just the straight up lack of field space. That there are not enough fields for all the teams to be practicing and what have you. And this, for all the positives of it, compounds that problem because it eliminates a field. Is there any option to work with the town to use the Hunter Road fields?
Well,
To increase the availability of practice space and
the answer is maybe, but a couple of qualifiers to that. The Hunter Road fields are a little bit undersized because they were developed for community sports. They are technically within the size limits of the high school playing fields and the soccer fields and all that. They have a minimum and maximum dimensions. And it's my understanding that they're toward the smaller end of the dimensions, which is not desirable. The second thing is that the town of Freeport has a priority list as to who gets first dibs on the field. And first one is a community organization, so youth soccer comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, they'd never be available on a Saturday
right.
for games. We've just, it is a conceivable solution to use those, but then again, it involves putting the kids on the bus and taking them over to
But I just was
outside.
looking, if you're going from not having enough fields and then reducing it because of the space the track takes up, you're gonna be down a field as it is, and if there were any sort of alternative ways to accommodate that.
You put the kids on a bus and you just take time off the practice time where you have 6 teams. As it is now, the track team, as I said, loses all that time. They have to go during outdoor season, they have to go over to Bowden every day to practice. So they lose about a total of an hour a day just in travel time to and from, rounding up kids, getting them on the bus, transporting and bringing them back.
It's like herding cats.
Pardon me?
It's like herding cats, getting everybody organized.
You sound like a teacher. Yeah. Could you use those fields? Yeah. We've just concluded it's not the most desirable option.
I don't mean as an alternative to this. I mean in addition, how do you accommodate the loss of a field and still have, now you've only got one.
I think, you know what the better guy to ask is Craig Sickles, the athletic director, because he's the one who manages all the fields.
We did talk a little bit about that, like football would continue to practice over on Pownell Road, so in the fall, and that each team would be allotted an hour and a half time slot to use the field, to use that field as they wish. And then I also went over and talked with Mr. Pidden, because right now the track team in Durham is combined with Freeport, and the Freeport kids are here, but there would also be time for the Durham Community School kids to go over and use the track. In the spring, it would be the same thing. You would have boys and girls lacrosse, and then the track team. And again, you would say each of those teams would be allotted about an hour and a half after school to be able to use that. I mean, I liken it to the gym, because right now the gym has, 3 boys basketball teams and 2 girls basketball teams, and so they have to chop it up for the evening in order to get everybody in. You would have.
Oh, I played ice hockey all through high school and college, so I know the juggle of figuring out.
I mean, with the lights, I know being able to do, some of your games you'd be able to do in the evening, so then you could get into your practices right after school before those evening events happened. But as far as talking to Mr. Sickles specifically, he just talked about that sort of hour and a half time frame divided between the 3 different sports between the fall and the spring. That's kind of how he explained that.
Yeah, and I frankly don't remember his explanation. The hope is to have lights too at the field, so you can have Friday night football games and bleachers. The track would be 8 lanes, so it would be big enough to host regional track meets. So you'd have kids from coming from all over to participate in track events.
The track would be open to the community as well,
Yep.
too.
Yeah, I think during non-school hours, you obviously couldn't do it while the kids were in school, have people just coming running around the track, but otherwise it'd be open to the public. I think that was everything that was on our agenda, other than having the final shoe drop, which Lisa already mentioned, which was that we would hope very much that you guys would consider putting a warrant on the town meeting, asking for an appropriation of $25,000. We've asked Pownell for the same thing, and we're going to ask Freeport for $100,000. In addition, this would be in addition to going around and asking people in town to donate. I mean, I don't underestimate the impact of $25,000. But if you were to game plan this and say, well, we'll try for another. If this fails, maybe there'd be another bond issue that we'll try again in a couple of years to do this, and that passes. The impact of that on Durham is a lot more than contributing now to a voluntary effort. If you took Durham's pro rata share of, and I don't know what that calculates out to, but pro rata share of $3.2 million for it to do this on a bond issue, $25,000 on a voluntary basis is probably going to be a lot less per capita than your bond issue share. So we're making the same request of everybody.
The community family gift of $100,000 is basically, school people are gonna be either knocking on doors or selling stuff to raise.
Yeah, we've got 3 teams. We're reasonably well organized. We've got 3 teams, one for each community, with each team has a captain. And Lisa's our captain for Durham, and it's basically knocking on the doors, calling up friends and neighbors and saying, we'll take 3-year, anybody listening on television, we'll take 3-year pledges. Can you give us $1,000 over 3 years, $333 a year? And we're trying to get as many of those as we can to eventually work our way through those numbers. The reason that Durham's $100,000 is we just arbitrarily whacked that up on whatever your pro rata share is of the RSU budget. So you can see that Pownell's smaller and Freeport's the biggest. As I said, there's no magic to those numbers, but we had to start somewhere to say, how can we put together, what's the recipe to put together where we're going to get these monies from in order to come up with 3.2?
And initially, I'm starting sort of with like-minded people, other people that play sports with my daughter and families that we know, people who are very supportive of wellness and athletics, and starting with those people who just want to, contribute because I think it's a good cause and a good thing for our kids. And that's sort of the goal of this entire project, is starting places where, we're not going to go to try to get money or support from people who don't have it. We want to be supported, and those people hopefully will be willing to help us with a pledge over 3 years.
Yeah.
And those are the types of, that's where we're trying to target our fundraising.
And there are on our board a number of people who don't have kids in the system. As I said, my kids don't live around here, and my grandson's in Oregon, so I'm not getting any benefit out of this myself. I just believe passionately in public education. My kids went to public school, and I love Freeport High School. I love the kids there. And the plain fact of the matter is that with respect, I mean, they're going to have a nice physical plant there when this renovation gets done. It took us years and years when it was just Freeport to build a gymnasium. When we came to town, there was a horrible little place there, and it took us 3 tries to pass a bond issue to build the Performing Arts Center. And when this is all said and done, in the fall of 2017, the building it'll be a nice building for the first time. There'll be a place for the chorus to practice and the band to practice, and a better cafeteria now than the horrible place they have now. But the one thing they're lacking, which is really second rate, and as I said, the kids know it, is the outdoor athletic facilities. Every place they go has got a track, and they go to a track meet at some other school, and they don't even have one in their backyard. And I'm just, for strange reasons, because I was never an athlete myself, I just said, I want to make this happen. So that's why we're all doing it.
That field that you showed on the corner there where you're gonna move one of the baseball fields
Yeah.
to, that was the field hockey field.
Yes, sir.
And you said that for whatever reason, because of the way the balls and stuff go, that nobody else can play on it. Is that still gonna be a field hockey field?
No, field hockey will be
It's
up
gonna
here
all
on
be
the
moved
turf
over
field.
there.
Be up there, yeah.
So soccer, boys and girls soccer, field hockey, and football will all be sharing that.
Yeah,
that
except to
one
the
field.
extent some of the teams may practice on this system that I don't understand out at Hunter Road.
So-
There's practices out there.
That being an artificial
Pownell Road,
field,
right,
Well,
the football
well, the
field's out
football
of-
field's on Pownell Road,
Yeah.
the soccer fields are on Hunter Road.
that being an artificial field, it doesn't gonna matter if field hockey and all them others played
Won't
on
hurt
it.
at all,
Only
no.
made the difference because it was a regular grass.
Right, and it will also extend the season, so what happens now is, there's mud season and in late fall.
There's mud
It's
season
start-
and
it's-
dark
it-
season,
it-
that's
it
pretty
start-
much how
yeah,
it
well,
works.
it's mud season and dark season, so it starts to get sloppy, and with an artificial turf field, you don't have that problem, and with lights, you don't have that problem either. So the kids can practice later and, practice it when it starts to get dusk, so they can't do now.
Well, it's definitely an aggressive goal. I mean, each one of these towns, if you get individuals to pledge a certain amount, some of them same individuals are gonna be paying tax dollars on any of these other amounts if the town approved them. So it's kind of a.
Plus, they're already paid into, or will already be paying into the 600,000.
Right, exactly. So it's gonna be a.
Yeah, that's already a done deal.
But
That bond issue's already.
it's already
right.
done.
It's
but
already
we're-
built into
we're
what
already-
you're paying now.
So we're already paying that, and that then if we put this out for on a warrant and so on, and pick that, and they decide to do that, then there'll be that payment and that as well. Plus, you'll be looking for individual donations as
Right.
well.
Right.
And that's, I think, the biggest question that I get, most of my questions tonight are questions people in town have asked me as a selectman. And the biggest question that I get, the number one question is, why is, that the voters already voted to spend $600,000 and keep the grass fields, and why is essentially the will of the voters being ignored, is how a lot
It's
of
not,
people-
they'll get asked to use it for a different purpose. And if they say no, that they want to use the money for the grass field, then
Right, so it
the
would go to,
project-
so it
th-
still
this
has
whole
to
thing
go,
may
it would still
fail.
have to go to a vote, and people would still have the opportunity to.
it has to go to a vote. Before that, we've used the word repurposing. Before that $600,000 that was a part of the bond issue for the rebuilding of the grass fields can go instead to have an artificial field and a track, that be part of that, there'll have to be a referendum in the RSU. Do you want to have the 600,000 spent on grass that a goat can
Right.
eat, or grass that a goat can't eat? It's just
Right.
that simple. Either one way or the other, it goes for something.
Right.
And if they say no, then, as I said, our ability to raise 3.2, the full 3.2 million is probably a bridge too far. Probably, as it is, we've got
A hefty goal.
we got maybe 6 months more or less. This is a very compressed time frame. And the reason the time frame is compressed is it's the work on the high school building is done by September of 2017. The kids are occupying that den. It's being done in pieces, so the school's not disrupted. And the goal would be to have all this done at the same time, which means that we got a very short period of time to raise another $1.2 million. The gift from Nike was huge, was enormous, and that honestly was because of Joan Benoit Samuelson.
Well, I was gonna say, because that gift had been on the table from Nike several years ago and
Yeah.
not been
Yeah,
been accepted, and so it's great that the powers that be were able to bring that back to life.
well, it's because of the respect that they have for Joni. I think she's been a consultant / VIP athlete for them since the 1984
I
Olympics.
was gonna say a long time.
So she's always on the road for Nike somewhere, and it was a testimony to their respect for her. I would have been happy if they'd given us $2 million, but they didn't see it that way. Can we answer any more questions?
Not that I can think of. I'm not sure, I mean, you're aware that we're in our budget process
That's why
right
we,
now.
that's why
it
we asked
came
to see,
tonight,
yeah.
We're looking at several major increases this year, and even if we put this on the warrant, I mean, we could put it on a warrant without a recommendation from the selectmen or something like that, but my guess is that it will not be warmly received, but.
And part of that, I suspect, is timing. As everybody knows, we've just been through a withdrawal battle, and I think the rhetoric got rather heated, and I think the lack of civility left a lot of people feeling a little bit bruised.
And we're looking at withdrawal.
And there's another withdrawal on the agenda again this year.
I understand all that you're telling me. We don't come here
absolutely.
naive and not understanding what the real world dynamics are of this. And I guess the one thing I would say would be that maybe it's an opportunity in a voluntary way for us all now to work together, for people to kick in money and maybe have a sense of mutual participation in a project which we all think, would be a great thing for the kids. I mean, but I understand the dynamics that you're working with, and I understand that a lot of the stuff you heard coming out of Freeport was not probably music to your ears about how a lot of people in Freeport felt about this, about the RSU. But, I mean, those of us on the board are committed to it, and this is for all the kids. It's for the Durham kids and the Pownell kids. It's not just Freeport kids. That's why we're doing it. We didn't come here tonight seeking a vote or an endorsement. We came here just to tell you.
Sure.
I would have brought pledge forms, but I thought that might be a little bit presumptuous. Maybe I could hand them out to the audience here and see if anybody would sign up for $10,000.
Well, we would, if we was gonna consider, we would have to be careful how we presented it too, because we might get a lot of things thrown at us, so.
Yeah.
Quite literally,
Wow.
thrown at us.
My thinking on this, we can discuss it as a board, but we could put it on as a warrant article with no recommendation, and it would be up to your group to present at town meeting why you're asking for this, and
I would
I'd
certainly.
borrow a flak jacket from the police department when they come to the.
Well, I would certainly be in favor of putting it, I think that it should go on the warrant. I think the voters should have the opportunity to make that call. I don't feel like that's a decision that the 5 selectmen, should be making for the town. I think people should have the opportunity to make that decision for themselves.
And if you would like us to come back, to be here and answer questions, or if that would be helpful. I don't want to intrude on your process. That's not being appropriate for me, but if you want us to come back, and I'll be happy to do so.
What happens to the money if you don't make your goal?
Gets refunded. A lot of it's in pledges. So, for example, Nike hasn't written us a check. They've given us a pledge, and if the referendum fails, if we only raise $2 million and the referendum fails, well, you know, the project fails, and we tell Nike, thank you, the whole thing failed, keep your money, and people who have given us money, we'd refund it to them. To the extent we have had expenses, we'd make some pro rata deduction in the expenses, are $15,000 or $16,000, and they get their check back minus $1.25 or something, or whatever it is.
Certainly if it's going to be on the warrant, and please feel free to jump in and correct me, there is usually an opportunity as people come into town meeting to pick up any kind of handouts or what have you. So if you guys have a handout that explains it and you want it to be available to voters at town meeting, I wouldn't see a reason why that.
Yeah, that and as long, if you're a Durham resident, you can speak without being voted, but if you're a non-resident, the town meeting, the people at the town meeting can vote to allow you to speak, so you can speak to it when the article comes out. But yes, you could have handouts and things like that available for people to pick up.
When is your town meeting?
April 2nd. It's the first Saturday in April.
Okay. Well, I don't
There's
think,
another way of getting, you know, your
Yeah.
information out.
yeah, that's a great idea. I wouldn't want to, you know, stand up and ask for permission to speak. I don't think that'd be appropriate, but if somebody wants to invite us,
Typically, if we know you're going to be there, we put together a list ahead of time, and
The moderator would.
The
we
moderator
kind
moves
of-
them all in.
we kind of vote them on block, unless somebody has an objection on one or two
Okay.
of them. So it's
I've never seen them refuse to let people speak.
okay.
I keep hoping.
Uh-huh. April 2nd, what time do you start?
9 o'clock.
Okay. Is it at the school?
Yes,
Okay.
usually we yeah. I mean, yeah, I assume it will be.
It's the only place we've ever had it,
Yeah.
since I've been in town.
Speaking of which, make a note, moderator.
So it's April,
Second.
April,
I,
April
Shannon's
2nd?
working on everything. She's-
Okay.
I'll make a note, but
Okay, I'll put it in my,
So when we come to the putting together the final warrant, we all agree that we should put that on there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I am, but I'd like to discuss a couple things before we do that, when we get to that point. I
At that
am.
point, okay.
We've got to see what our whole,
I mean, we need to put it in our budget packets too, so the budget committee can look at it as well.
mhm.
I'm not against letting the townspeople make the decision, but I have some thoughts that we should probably discuss.
do you want me to get you more detail about the Hunter Road field usage and what the pattern would be? Would that be? is that-
mostly I was looking at a chart that said, you know, we've got limited field space as it is, and then I was looking at a chart that says, and once we do this, we're gonna have even less.
Yeah.
And so, there was a logic jump there that I
That's
had
why a
to-
turf field that becomes necessary.
And I don't dispute the value. I mean, I went to a high school that required everybody you had to do a sport every semester. It didn't have to be a team sport, it could be aerobics.
not
it
right
could
now.
be- But you had to do something.
Oh, I know, one more thing, I'll just pass these out to you. This is what we call a case statement, just a summary of what it's all about. There is a website too,
I think that we have enough.
tritowntrack.com, which has all this information on it. So that's all we have, unless there are any more questions.
All set. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next up on the agenda, kind of a jump on this, but discussion of disposal site for rabid animals.
Segues right in, yeah.
I hear there's a field of
Rabid
We have
animals.
had several rabid animals of late. What does one do with?
And we've got an or a letter from our ACO and a couple of, I assume these are from statutes.
Yep, well, they're from the CDC, yep.
Okay. So, our ACO did have take care of a rabid raccoon.
I thought when they took them to Augusta to see if they were rabid or whatever, they disposed of them.
From the sounds of his letter, it sounds like
That's not so.
it wasn't needed. It was rather obvious, and so he incurred some costs.
Yeah.
And he also wanted to let us know that it's really not the ACO's job to deal with this unless Warden Service basically can't do it, I think, right? Is that my understanding is?
Right, and he
So
was
he's-
also concerned about Public Works, because they get rid of roadkill. And he was concerned that they need to have a specific way of handling the animals to make sure that if the animal were to have rabies, they would not contract the rabies.
So he only deals with domestic animals then? Is that?
Really, that's what the ACO is for, is
Yeah.
domestic animals. Depending on the municipality and the ACO and things like that, sometimes they do.
If there's an immediate threat, I think that they can.
But these calls should be directed to the Warden Service, and that's who should be dealing with wild animal calls, and the ACO really is only responsible for dealing with domestics, correct?
Do we know how he was contacted, whether he was contacted directly or through?
I think it was directly.
Okay.
Yeah, people call me, ask me if we have one now, just so I can go on the website and get his name. They don't always tell me what they want, they just call looking for him, and I don't ask.
Yeah.
You'll probably get it right off the website.
So is he looking for us to put together a policy perhaps, and as well as to have a site?
Yeah, he had mentioned contracting with an incinerator to try and incinerate these animals, but the CDC, the lady that I contacted, she said that most municipalities bury them.
And he also mentions that they shouldn't be transported from Durham, and I'm not sure that we have much for incinerator facilities here in town.
Well, no, I think he was talking about incinerating them in Auburn or Lewiston,
Right.
but I
Just
don't.
throw it in your burn barrel.
I just
with the
noticed
trash,
that he
it's all
said
good.
rabid dead animals should not be transported from Durham.
Since these are wild animals?
Well, they have the disposal and how you bury them and how deep they have to be, and I mean, conceivably, I guess we could take them out back of the Public Works Department and bury them on Calvin's land.
There you go. Use the
They have to be
excavator.
buried deep enough so another animal don't dig them up.
Yeah, it has to be a
That's part
couple
of
of feet, I believe. But he was concerned. He was concerned about the Public Works people, and he was concerned about people in town because the rabies has showed up here.
Well, it seems like according to this right
isn't the
here,
first rabid animal he's dealt with in the last month or so. I mean, there've been.
There's a bat
Yeah,
and there were
it's
2 raccoons.
Yeah.
And this one was actually
Seems like
right
this
down the
all-
street from me. My neighbor
all
told
these
me
calls
about
should
it.
be referred to the Maine Warden Service. Yes, so,
I would think that would be, if they call him, I would think that he should, if he get called directly, he should direct them to the
Right.
Warden Service, right?
He did call the Warden Service. There was this long drawn out explanation of why they didn't take care of it, and I don't really remember what it was.
it doesn't sound like a very good explanation if it's their job.
Wow, there's only so many wardens, you know what I mean? They're probably pretty busy.
I think
Sure
he felt
they
it was
are.
going to take them too long. It took them too long to show up, so he just took care of it himself.
Well, we can, do you think we could table the establishment of a rabid animal policy till after we get through the budget?
I would think
Think
that
we
would
could.
make sense. Yeah. Is,
Sounds good to me.
I'm good for that.
so,
Careful where you bury them. Stephen King wrote a book about some cemetery.
so this next up is discussion of public hearing for RSU 5 withdrawal vote. my understanding, it has to be at least 10 days before the vote.
Yep, and I put a calendar in here. The vote's gonna be in the referendum on April 1st is my assumption. So if you count back 10 days,
22nd, I think.
yeah, you come up with the 22nd, which is a Tuesday, which is a board meeting. Or you could do it on the weekend, you know, the weekend before, if you guys wanted to do it on a weekend.
I was wondering about trying to coincide it with our selectmen's meeting, unless you thought there would be too much.
I think we will have more, I think there's a fair amount of interest in town on the withdrawal vote, and so I'm not sure that all of the people would fit in this room.
What if we tried to do it on the 15th at the school? Yeah, like the week before. That would be an off Tuesday for us.
I could be wrong, we could do that and 3 people could show up. But it strikes
I
me.
mean, I expect that this one would be higher up than some other items.
You still wanna have it here
Hmm?
on the 15th?
No, it just, actually, either one that we do it at, I would suggest doing it the public hearing part at the school.
Right, okay, right.
Do you think at the school or the Eureka, or does it matter to you? The reason I ask is because if we call the school and they don't have availability, then
I mean, I think the school would be preferable, because, I mean, this is one of those ones that you could get,
5
you
to
said
500.
5, or you could get 100 people show
Right,
up
because
for
the
it,
Eureka is capped at 50 people, I
or
believe.
40 or something like that.
Is that floor ever been low rated?
Right, I think that the
It's-
occupancy is between 40 and 50.
when there's tables and chairs, but I think if you set it up with chairs, I think it's 75, but in any case, the school would probably be preferable.
I'm not sure I want to be standing on the floor if there's distinctions between, you know, whether or not there's tables there as to how it's load rated.
At what time?
7?
Yeah, that's
Probably
what I would think.
makes sense, so.
You could record it at the school too.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I think we can record it anywhere, because we've got.
The camera.
So we got the 15th at 7. March
So we'll
15th.
try for the 15th at 7, and if that doesn't work, then should we try the 22nd?
Yeah.
So this is number 1 choice.
And what will the hearing entail exactly?
So did anybody, I did not get a chance to look at the video link that.
I've looked at part of it, I haven't looked at the whole thing.
I think from the select board's thing, I think we need to clearly explain what the vote is. You know, what really is going to happen. You mentioned that they went down through the steps. If the vote goes through, these are the steps that we
Right, they
have to
go
go
through
through.
the legal, this is the statute, this is what this entails, and then people could get up and advocate either way.
Right.
Clarify this for me, because it's been said that if the town votes to pursue withdrawal, that it's all or nothing. And we've been through this before, and the town had to vote on a plan. And if
Well-
we didn't vote on the plan, then we just stuck with the status quo. So,
Right,
so it's really not all or nothing. It's looking at it.
Right. Well, the first time we went through this, it was just to form a committee to get information out to see if they wanted to. This
Right.
vote is to either vote to get out or not.
So-
If they vote to get out, then they gotta do all the
plan.
negotiation and planning, and then the state has to approve it as well, and if it does happen, then it goes back to the people, and then they have to, so
Right,
yes, there is
the
another vote.
first time we went through this, prior to this initial vote that we're gonna have in April, committees were formed and numbers were crunched and presentations were made, and people had sort of a working knowledge of what it could potentially cost one way or the other, depending on,
Right, but there was
Who you
the
talk
initial
to.
vote was what started all that.
no, the initial petition started that.
We didn't do the initial.
Once the vote happens, then we are committing funds, which have been estimated at about $50,000 for legal fees, for the expenses, because once that vote happens, then we are
in the
required to
process.
sit down at the table and start hammering out a deal.
So what?
It's not, it doesn't kick off that cost analysis that was done last time.
So
That was
the
done.
last time we did it, we actually,
But there's still,
We-
the plan would still have to be approved in the end by
Yes.
both the Department of Education
Right.
and the town.
but you have to go through, you actually have to go through, you have to come up with a plan, and that actually, I think you have to come up with a plan that gets approved by and comes back to the voters.
Right.
What we did the last time was before we ever put the first vote out, we put
We
together
did see,
the
right.
committee that looked at things, and which was actually quite informational. It provided an awful lot of information, but so those are, I think, our responsibilities. I believe you also said that the petition group from Freeport was allowed to speak to at the meeting as well. To present.
Yep.
And probably anybody that was for or against could speak. That's what public hearing is about.
Yes.
So, but I think the big things is that we need to be very clear on what this vote does. If the vote passes, they will be committing $50,000 towards that effort
process.
for the process, and the process starts, and it doesn't end until it comes back for basically it doesn't end until it comes back for
For a vote.
for the final vote.
But if the town votes it down, then we stick
Yeah.
with what we had.
I don't know if there's an option to say, hey, we couldn't come up with a deal.
No, you're supposed to
Yeah.
put all the best effort in,
Yeah.
but
And are those generally done as separate warrant articles, or are they a single warrant article of to vote to pursue withdrawal and to commit the money,
Single.
or are they?
It's one.
Okay.
Single.
So I was envisioning, yes, we're
No.
gonna pursue it, no, we're not gonna
No,
spend
it's
the
a
money.
single one, and basically the state provides us the wording for it.
Yeah. You just plug in the numbers in the town.
And I know from your research, I think that other towns have ballparked the figure at about $50,000.
Freeport put forward $50,000 and they spent almost the entire amount, yeah.
Okay. When we hear back from the school, then we can officially set
The date,
officially
yeah.
set the date and time and stuff.
Yep.
Let's see. I think can take departments and committee out of order because they can, anybody that's not going to be involved in the discussions tonight can leave. Chief, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yep, try to make it quick. It's only 4 pages.
Made it difficult for you to get out tonight.
Is it big writing, big letters?
Yeah. No, this time around to make it fit, I had to use 11-point font. I'll make it really quick. Hazmat training was discussed before, so we don't really need to visit that unless somebody has questions. Structure, I talked to you at your last meeting about, we're getting ready to change some of the way we do business, not so much that the townspeople will see it, but rather organizationally to hopefully make it a more enjoyable participation and membership for people in the organization. So anyways, the EMS coverage is currently, we have 4 companies, done with 4 companies. It's done based on a rotation, not necessarily on a pick when you're available type deal. So we've come up with a structure where there'll be 1 EMS provider and a driver taking the place of what we currently do with our company assignments and stuff. And people will pick it. It'll be based on, hey, you gotta do this many weeknights, this many weekends. There's actually no money attached to the company's coverage or for this your own coverage. I will be honest, inevitably it is going to be a discussion that it keeps coming up within the organization periodically that, well, hey, we should get paid for coverage and stuff like that. But at this point, the membership realizes there's no money attached to it and stuff. So that's one of the changes that's going to happen, and I think it'll actually be more conducive for participation. It seems to be being received pretty enthusiastically. Another thing we're trying to do to help retain and maintain membership and hopefully give it a little more of a friendly family atmosphere is actually we're appointing mentors to all of our people. Right now, it's just firefighter 1 and 2 classes, but when somebody goes out and takes a class, we're actually putting mentors with them and stuff to kind of help them over the humps and everything. As well as new members. We don't have any new members right now. I do have an application, but we don't have any. But new members, during their probationary period, we're going to put a mentor with them to help them through the humps and the hurdles. But anyways, that's primarily the reorganization stuff. Questions? Nope, good. CERT, that's the other thing we're putting together. I'm not sure when the meeting's gonna be, but we're starting to get the pieces together. A lot of it'll be funded at the state level as far as some of the classes and stuff that people will have to go through. One of the things we don't have is, we don't have a staff for sheltering or any of that under EMA. And in the event of a major emergency, I'll use the ice storm, but the ice storm, the shelter was actually staffed with a completely different group of people. EMA wasn't under fire and rescue at the time. I don't have enough staffing so that if we have an event similar to that I can focus on sheltering. So it really comes down to really 2 people that are assigned, so to speak, to it, myself and Bill DeLong. So these people hopefully will work into taking care of those pieces that we don't really have the people dedicated to make it happen in the first place in the event of some type of disaster. So anyways, we're starting to put that together. We have some people interested. We're working with County EMA to make that happen. Actually, Bill DeLong's working with County EMA to make that happen. The Homeland Security grant, Ruth talked about it at your last meeting. She thought it was, and she was correct, it was a bigger amount. It was $10,106.81 that we hadn't received yet. In all fairness to them, based on the date on the check, I sent an email at the 26th maybe. The check was actually dated the 21st, so they did have it in the process to send it down to it, so they weren't holding it for the myriads of interest that they were going to get off the money. But anyways, that's here now. My classes, we've already discussed about those. The inspector one is done for the most part, except for the exam part of it. They haven't got the final scheduling for that yet. Forestry grant, I was in hopes maybe the board would consider voting to approve the forestry grant now that we have the revenues in there. And perhaps I do have it here, but rather than delay the meeting, perhaps allow Ruth to sign it on behalf of the board, or I can pass it around. Permits, don't necessarily need to make a decision on that tonight, but I did want to put it out there tonight. Permits, if you remember right back in late summer, midsummer to late summer, I talked about Warden's report. What you have going around is actually issued by Warden's report, so it's going to focus on Warden's report. It comes from, they generate this and send it out. Town of Durham, we issued 159 electronic permits on Warden's report, which actually we only issued 701 grand total for the town. On your warrant is the $75 to keep a membership for the year to Warden's report, which I definitely think is a good investment. People seem to be receiving it fairly well.
Did we keep both for the second half of the year? You kept some weekend staffing as well, didn't you, while we made the adjustment?
Yeah, we still have people coming in on the weekend and stuff. My bottom line, my recommendation is the way Warden's report is working. I know there's going to be some people that it's just going to be difficult. They're not going to have electronic access. But to me, in this day and age, that's few and far between. To me, if we see an issue, we should look at, well, okay, how do we fix that issue, rather than, in all honesty, the guys don't like staffing it. They have to staff at 9 to 11, so plunk in the middle of the morning, and it's 2 hours out of their morning. It ruins their whole morning. They do get paid. They get paid, depends on what their hourly rate is, anywhere from $16 to maybe $28 for running their Saturday or their Sunday morning. They don't want it, and I actually think we could make the system work fine without it, and it would save the town about $2,000 in the course of the year.
Are we encouraging people as they come in?
Yes, we are. We have cards and poster here. Actually, Diana, when we get the electronic state permits, the notification of that, we actually, she sends them an email, I'll forward the permit to her, print it and forward the permit to her, and she actually will send them an email, because their email's attached. So if they give the proper email, we're actually sending them emails saying, hey, you can actually go to this site and it doesn't cost you $7, it's free. So yes, we are actively promoting it. My recommendation, we don't have to necessarily embark on it now or take action. I'd encourage you, if you haven't already thought it through, to take some time and think about it. Maybe we can revisit it in 2 to 4 weeks or something, but.
We have a link to it right from the
My
website, yeah, I mean,
Pardon me?
we have a link to it right from the Durham website, yeah, because I've used it a
Yeah.
couple times. It
Yeah,
seems-
and I think people are gradually, if you look at that 159 was in, since July, mid-July. So it was 5.5 months, we issued 159 electronic permits on that site.
And you can see it increasing steadily up until October, and then of course you get into the colder, man.
It'll start up again pretty soon. There's a few glitches with the site, and I've talked to Gary, the guy that runs the site, and he's gonna work on trying to resolve them and stuff, but.
Well, one thing, the first day, I got 2 permits. It was like, I think, one weekend right after another. But the first day I got it, I'm all ready. I got, so I go out to get ready to get my tools and start. And I look over, and the pine tree across the road is just, swaying. I said, okay, I can't burn today. So
The only downside, then that's probably one of the few a couple of downsides with doing electronic permits versus paper permit. It's based on the Class A issued for the zone for the state. So a lot of times local conditions may be slightly different. Wind conditions, actually even fuel moisture conditions may be different. And the other thing it doesn't allow for is staffing, because if we have a weekend that I know there's nobody in town, we actually, under the state law, do not have to issue paper burning permits. We can actually shut down the state website so that you can't get one there. It doesn't have to be any permits. That's the only downside of electronic permitting, unless you, and actually the warden's report versus the state site. The state site gives me a quick and easy method for shutting it down and doing little things and changing requirements. Warden's report doesn't, and that's actually one of the things I talked to Gary about was, you probably noticed it says you need to have 2 people for certain burns.
2 adults. 2 adults.
2
it said,
adults, you
yeah.
have to have 2 adults, whereas state law doesn't say you have to have 2 adults.
Just says
It
you gotta have
encourages 2
tools
adults,
and a
but it doesn't
hose.
say you
Right.
have to have 2 adults.
If they go electronically and do these permits, they have to be able to print them off.
Yeah, it says to print them off, yes.
Yeah, a
And
lot of
in
people
all
probably have
honesty,
computers
if somebody
in your
shows up
pocket.
there, you do need to be able to show them the permit.
Right.
I suppose the bottom line is you could probably show them it on your phone or your laptop.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because a lot of people probably got computers, but not everybody probably has a printer hooked up to it.
I'm assuming,
just
everything else
barely
is
got one.
gradually going to the point where, hey, you just show me your ticket or
Yeah.
so it's on your phone or on your iPad or whatever. So I'm assuming that would probably meet the test, because the other side of it is we can go on and print any one of those last 159 permits that were issued. We can actually still go on and print them.
It's pretty convenient, though. It is pretty convenient, so.
Yeah, I think it's more convenient for the people, for the
Yeah.
most part. There's gonna be a few that it's gonna make it difficult, but paper permits are available weekdays still and stuff.
Right.
It would not be my intent that we should change those. Just I don't see the sense in ruining somebody's weekend and bringing them in for a minimal amount of money and creating, if you really figure it out, we issued 701 permits. Even if you use our total, we've spent roughly $2,000 staffing for permits. If you include electronic permits, we issued 700 permits. That's $3 per permit. If you really take out the electronic permits, in reality, we spent over $4 per permit for anybody that chose to come in. And that doesn't necessarily say they even came in on the weekend and got them.
Right, yeah, you gotta go even further to get them on the weekend.
It would be cheaper for us to give everybody a card saying, hey, go to the state site for the $7 and just charge it to the town of Durham. It would actually be probably cheaper in the end than what we're paying to issue those few paper permits. That was you? Yeah, I think like you weren't following.
No, I was following. I was all set. I know that We do
There are
have
gonna
a printer, but not everybody probably did, that's what I didn't know.
No, there are gonna be people that are gonna have a difficult time with it, and I'm sure as those people identify themselves and their issues, I think what we do is we work to resolve those issues.
I'm not electronically inclined with all that other stuff, so I had to have a printer.
I am out of necessity. Kinda goes with the territory.
Hello and goodbye. That's my electronics.
But anyways, I don't know if the board wants to move on that now or just take it into consideration and think about it. I think most of my offices that are primarily the ones that do the staffing would love to think that by burn season, which most people, once we start to, next month when it starts to warm up, actually this month, a lot of people are probably already looking around their yards and saying, well, you know, I gotta get that cleaned up and stuff. And so probably in another 3 weeks to 4 weeks, things are gonna start to pick up. So I think most of the offices are hoping that instead of setting at the station, they can actually be cleaning their yards up as well.
I have no objection to switching over to the totally
Oh,
electronic.
I don't need it.
The decision part of it too would be great if we could make it before reports, town reports go out, because then I can include it in my report and we can make sure we put notices in the town report. Really get it out there. So to me, we should do like a month and a half, maybe even 2 months of advance warning that no, we're gonna shut down issuing permits at the station. And I know we're still gonna get some upset people. You know, we can put signs at the station, put it up on the town channel, so anyways.
I would
go to the
move
neighbor
we
that has
go
a printer.
to using Warden's, exclusively using Warden's report on the weekends.
Second.
If you're not ready for a motion yet, I can.
No, I'm thinking time frame. We should set up time frame when we're going to do that, I think, and
Make a definitive date so
Yeah.
that we can actually advertise as of such and such a date. Weekend permits, paper permits will not be issued from the station unless personnel are available due to emergencies or
We'll
something.
see, April
Well,
2nd.
by end of May, there's your 2 months.
that's 2 months after town meeting, so
June 1st, so
June 1st, that would give us half a year's of savings on that, and that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
it doesn't get you through the spring burn season, but
Well, you,
It's moving forward. I guess that's a big thing for a long time, even, and that's the organizational structure thing too. For a long time, everything was just kind of status quo and stayed the same, and we need to shake it up and keep it moving forward. So I think they'll be receptive to moving forward. They're gonna beat me up and say, well, no, that's not what we really wanted to see, but that's okay.
you want that to be before Memorial Weekend? Oh, okay.
I hope that wasn't full.
What it
But,
was.
The other question would May 1st be enough notice? I mean, if we started advertising it now and had it in the town report and mentioned it at
Yeah,
town meeting. And
that's
things
2
like that.
months.
I don't wanna beleaguer, but the bottom line is if you think about your own times trying to burn and stuff, it usually, once the snow goes away, which unless things change drastically, I'm thinking by mid-March, we're gonna start to see bare ground and stuff pretty much consistently. And if that does in fact happen, probably burning is gonna get shut down around April 1st and go through till, what is Calvin agreeing or disagreeing?
No,
He probably wants to
falling
see it stop
asleep.
now.
Sleeping right now.
You're ready for it to stop. So I guess where I'm headed is spring of the year. There's like 4 weeks that, because of the class day, that we typically can't issue permits in the first place because of the class day that's posted. So we can still put the notices
Yeah.
out there and stuff and make a specific date, but I guess I'm just trying to, so that's in your thought process, that in reality, one, I'm gonna be telling people, say, hey, we're shutting down May 1st.
Yep.
But in reality,
June
I'm
1st.
telling them for the, well, okay,
Well,
June
I
1st.
I think
threw out
May
May.
1st.
He threw out May 1st, and
Okay.
if we do May 1st, in reality, my perception as a citizen of the town is, well, couldn't get a permit all of April either, man. What do you mean you're shutting down May 1st? You're really shutting down April 1st or something like that. But I don't think that should steer it, but I definitely wanted to make sure everybody
and
understood
people
that
can
piece
still
of it.
get permits, they just can't go into the station.
Yeah, they can get them
Saturday morning.
electronically, and then during the weekdays when people are there, and actually my intent would be, if we're there for an emergency, there's no reason why if we have somebody at the station and the conditions are,
Right, if they just happen to catch someone at the
yeah,
station.
if they
that's
happen to
fine.
be, come by, so everybody should buy a scanner and listen, and when we end up on the call.
Tell them to wait a few minutes, though.
Yep. So do you want to establish a date? Do you want to establish it
Did you
tonight, or
want
do
to
you want
amend it
to
to May 1st?
I can amend it to that as of May 1st,
May 1st?
walk-in permits, burn permits will not be available on weekends at the fire department. People will be directed to use Warden's report online. They will still be issued free of charge.
Amended second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. At the same, while we're doing motions, I'd like to move that we accept the forestry grant for $15.95 towards a lightweight portable pumping section.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries.
Is that a complete grant or is that a 50% match?
50/50.
That is.
We pay up front and they reimburse.
So it's a 50/50, okay. Yeah. And then we got one more, the item there
Yep.
on the dispatch.
Yeah, and unless you got a bunch of questions, and I'm sure you have, but I can't answer a lot of them. Dispatch, I kind of reported the other night on the progress we're making with the, talking to some of the other centers. So just to give you a heads up, tomorrow at 9 o'clock, I have a meeting with, I'm not sure exactly who, I know Chief Brooks will be there for one, but representatives of Lisbon Comm Center to discuss some of the, I hope we don't focus on the past issues. Hopefully we focus on what needs to be fixed and how we move forward. So hopefully that will actually be the focus.
Just keep
I know
them in that path.
that's the intent I'm going to the meeting with, that I really don't want to go back over any issues or anything that's been in the past. I want to try to look towards the future and see if we can't make it a more amiable situation. Not financially, though.
And
I don't think I have any room on the financial aspect.
Just to,
That's it.
just to note, we did get a letter back from Lisbon that they're willing to do a 3-month extension at the new rates, and we'll probably have it for next meeting. So that gives us a little chance, a little bit of room to find out the information.
Yep, I should have my report on costs. May not be 100% complete, but I'll have enough so I can at least fill in 90% of the blanks and stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did we get a written report from the code official?
No,
Okay. Do you have anything?
I'm good, thanks.
All right, road commissioner, do you have anything that you need to report, or should we just go to the budget? Okay.
I can't imagine.
Actually, Chief, I did have one more question based on what we did with the permits and so on. With that reduction in us stopping in May.
Cut the budget.
Huh? Okay, I didn't know whether we could cut $1,000 out.
It's up to you.
Okay.
But I actually was reluctant to put it to you guys before town meeting, because it's like everybody's gonna look at this as an opportunity. I would not recommend it. You definitely can, it's definitely your option. But the bottom line is, if you look at payroll and the call volume, I mean, right now, last night, I think it was either 42 or 43 for the year so far, so we're gradually going over it may fade away, but what I see is the gradual transition so that we're pretty much over one
At
a
least
day
one
on
a
an
day, yeah.
average, so.
And
I wouldn't recommend it, not for the savings of $1,000, but that's
Okay.
up to you guys.
Thank you.
all right, back to the public works budget, and in particular, I think we're going to discuss capital.
So that one got X's on it, the one you got, Sarah?
Does it have X's? It does.
Maybe, this has got numbers on it.
Stars.
I wrote those in.
Oh.
Asterisk in there.
We're in,
I just wrote them in there because I
That's
didn't
all
get
right.
the numbers until like.
I didn't notice the numbers on that first one, that's all.
So that was a nail biter, but. So, since our last meeting,
You gotta spare one of
We
the,
had
Kelly,
two
you just put,
snowstorms.
put that in his, if you don't have spare, don't worry about it for tonight. I was just gonna stick it in Mike's pile at some point, yeah. That right there, that's good.
So, what I've gone out and physically measured every road, and I was hoping to have the dollars, costs, completed in the option one, to give us the exact number of dollars it would take. If I have a few more days, I can bring that back to you, that'll be done. But what I've done is, if you look at option one, right in the middle of the page, option one, action plan, that is what needs to be done to each road.
And this is,
This is sorted.
this is with us doing the work?
Nope,
No?
nope, this is,
This is with,
well, what has happened is pretty much I've gone to I haven't really I've kind of in talking with people in the industry and looking at the roads, I think the roads are in better shape than you think. I think there was a lot of gravel put in these roads. If I look at the elevation that they're above the ground around them, and I look at how long it took for the roads to get in the shape they're in, I've gone out with Crooker and I've talked to some other people, and we've looked at the roads, and we feel that these roads are candidates for FDR, full depth reclamation, and adding a little reclaim to it and paving. They come in with a big machine and they chew up the pavement and turn it into an aggregate. They turn it into with the gravel, and it adds to your road base structure. And then we add some more on top of that, compact it, shape it, get your profile, and pave it. If it took 40 years for the road to get in the shape it's in, and it's still holding vehicles, it's my belief, and talking with Crooker, who's been doing it for more years than I dare to guess, that these roads are prime candidates for that, and they're doing it all over, and it's working. So,
what did the, have you looked at the engineer report with the core samples? What did that show?
I haven't had time to really study it yet, but one of the options was a foam injection. So instead of it's a more expensive process where they come in and they grind up the pavement and they inject the foam in it. It takes the instead of just grinding it, it takes the material off the road and puts it through a pug mill and then puts it back down with this foam injection. And I have not gotten the cost for that yet, but I don't really know anybody that's doing it. Everybody is just grinding in place and doing this option here with the cement or the liquid asphalt.
I was basically asking as far as the core samples, what they showed as far as what was there for a base and so on, because I know we did them, and we might as well we probably better look at them to make sure.
I will be looking at them, but just
So-
looking at the road.
I just wanna make sure I'm understanding the numbers that are on here. So it looks like to do Runaround Pond, the two sections of it, based on to do the FDR pave, add 4 inches of reclaim, just looking at your notes, would be about $700,000.
Almost exactly, yeah.
Right, and to do the whole thing from Rabbit, the section of Rabbit, and Runaround would be just slightly over $1 million. So that entire corridor, including Quaker Meeting House, would be done.
Yeah, $1,066,398.
And it would be very close to our 4 mile mark.
Yeah.
If you look at it, trying to do 4 miles of road in a year, that would be very close to that 4 miles.
And are these Crooker's numbers?
Yep.
So, and would there, and I ask this really because I have no idea, is there a capacity for us to do some of this work ourselves and reduce the cost, or would it be more efficient to use our labor elsewhere doing ditching and what have you, and just having Crooker come in and do this?
Well, we are gonna haul the reclaim. We would be hauling, this cost is just us buying the 4-inch reclaim and the 4 inches of reclaim. We'd be trucking it and they would be spreading it. But yeah, our services would be better used ditching and getting the road so that as we build them, they last. We'd have to do some ditching here. But these numbers are close to the numbers that, they're not far from the numbers I had given you for us building the road.
Right, I was gonna say they're very, very
Yeah, yeah.
close.
Close. So the difference is, I mean, if you, the difference is it would just take a lot longer to do it.
I think
If we,
the section 1 is a bit higher, but you're doing a lot. I think you're doing more to it, right? Because I think you had said somewhere in the 280,000 or something like that.
270, yeah.
But
So this would be essentially equivalent to what you guys did on Fickett in
Nope.
Pownell?
I
No?
think it was a rebuild.
I think it was a complete rebuild, yeah. And to hire someone to do that, you're looking at the going rate for that's about $125 to $35 a foot. This here is, they come in, they grind up what we've got, and then they reshape it and add 4 inches of reclaim.
Does this require a come back a second year for a finish?
Yep, they would put down the base pavement 1 year, and a base pavement the first year, and then that binder coat would sit till the second season, and then they would come back and shoulder it.
Because we probably, the only way I see that we can do it is bond. If we're going to bond it, then we probably should include that
Both.
portion.
Well, and I'm
Yeah.
still interested in the notion, and I don't know if we know the answer yet as to whether or not we could do some kind of drawdown bond and have essentially like a line of credit to get, this project done this summer, and then be able to jump right in as soon as weather permits the following summer on the next project. And so that we are not going back every town meeting with another bond, another bond, another bond. And I just don't know the answer to that.
Right, I agree, and we may have a bit more data in a couple weeks, because you're gonna be filling in more, but we need to propose something for the budget committee to look
Absolutely,
at.
and I believe that Runaround Pond needs to be a priority. And whether we bond it as a sole event or whether we bond it in conjunction with other things, I think that we
I think it
need
makes,
to get it done.
I think it makes sense to take Rabbit Road along with it
Oh,
too.
yeah, I agree.
Just because that will finish off that whole
That whole-
corridor.
yeah,
East-west
that's 4
corridor.
miles. Pretty close to it.
3.72. And then the other thing is, I have to go back through here and check some things out. I just completed the model and I've measured everything, and I'm coming up with, we were supposedly had 46 miles of road, I think, but
Yeah.
I've got 52 here. I haven't gone through, I've found a lot of roads that were missing, well, not a lot, I found 2 or 3 on this here that were not in our database, that were not in our road network, that were not being calculated. So I've got 52.62 miles right here, and that's without adding in the piece of, that's without adding about the half a mile that goes from, of Meadow Road, that goes from Swamp Road to 125. And then I don't know if there's more roads missing. I just took, in going through the list that we had, I found some more roads that were not in that list. But I have not yet gone through this to make sure these are all the roads we have in total. I'm pretty sure it is. It seemed like I would have picked it up, but as I did with the other ones.
Some roads here, I didn't know the names.
Well,
Didn't know we had them.
So, if we decide to do something, do all these three large pieces here and so on, and you still have the 225,000, I assume you'd be looking at some shim and overlay or something like that. And how many mile, or how much do you think, how far do you think we could get approximately with the 225,000?
that's, there's so much, depends on the type of shim and the amount of shim needed, but, I think Cedar Pond Road is like 1.83 miles, and that's a shim and overlay. I think that would, just under 2 miles, I think that would probably chew up that,
Do you think that is the highest, the highest priority on the shim and overlay, or?
Well,
I don't know where.
I'm looking at the priority in that roads that if we don't do, we're gonna lose them.
Right, I was gonna say, that road has declined.
Yeah, and whenever I put a 0 next to when I put a 0 in that column, see the years,
Yeah,
I'm starting to fill that in, and that's a priority list. If it's 0, it means that I say it needs to be done yesterday, or it's not gonna be there. In a year, it's gonna be a rebuild, so. So if I say 1 to 2, I'm still playing with this model here to come up with, but that's what those numbers represent. It's how far I think you can go without.
That may change depending on what Mother Nature does from year to year.
Right.
I mean, some of these other numbers, you got 3 to 5. Next year, you may look at that and it could be 0 to 3.
Yeah, I hope not, but.
Right.
And the only thing I wouldn't vote, if it came to a vote on Cedar Pond, I would have to abstain. However,
Oh, you live there.
I do. But I will say that I've been surprised over the last year or so at how rapidly it has
And
declined.
it's a compound, it will continue, that's why I put 0. If you don't get to that road like this year, or you're gonna pay. So, I mean, I'll come back with a priority list, and,
That road's pretty rough
For
too.
the purposes of giving numbers to the budget committee, I'd like to put a bond for $1 million to do Rabbit and run around.
that won't be enough to do even just you need
Or
$1 million.
$1,066,000, so 1.1.
Yeah, I would.
Plus include the second years.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering is
Yeah.
should we include the second years?
Yes.
And what would you?
I don't want to get halfway done and then not have the
What would
money.
you
I'm gonna
estimate the
get it
top
done.
coat would be for that
well,
3 miles?
the finish coat for Runaround Pond Road is, for the section 1, is $83,656. And the finish coat for section 2 is 83,000. Oh, they're the same because they're both 6,100 feet. So
160, 70,000.
So, and then Rabbit
83,656.
656. Okay.
So
And then
we're looking at somewhere around 1.4-ish.
so, yeah, that would be good. That would be close.
That's those two, and then the finish.
These all come up to about 1 point.
1.066 basically.
So,
Plus
and there's another 170 there.
plus one. There'd be another a little bit more than this for Rabbit Road because the Rabbit Road's slightly longer.
The Rabbit Road is for the
1.4.
find the surface.
100, so it's a little-
Surface is $83,656 for
No,
the.
it's actually.
Well, I got the wrong Pond Road. Nope, wrong one. Let me get to Rabbit Road. We got 2 sheets here. Rabbit Road is $101,524.
So we're looking at 270, 1 point.
And I'm thinking these prices are gonna go down. I based them on $67 for the base, and $68 for the finish.
That's about 1.34 million. I would say 1.5.
No, wait a minute, I already, those numbers were included in the first number I gave you.
Oh, those are. This is
That includes the
Yeah.
top.
this is total. Okay.
Oh, this is the first part and the
Oh,
overlay
okay.
for next
Yeah,
year?
yeah.
Oh, all right.
Pleasant
Okay, so-
surprise.
So make it if
Feel
it's
better
1.6.
Let's do 2.
So if it's 1.06
I learned that trick.
Go at least to 1.1 million.
Right. Well, let's make sure we're right here, because it says the FDR, which is what?
Full depth reclamation,
Okay. And then it says add to foreign street claim, and it's got this price, and then it says plus shim and overlay.
Well, there was a little section right over the bridge,
That's just a
100,
little,
170 feet.
170
Right.
feet.
That doesn't need to be ground.
Oh, okay.
We'll just go over that with a pavement.
So this price includes that part, plus coming back the next year for the finish coat.
Yeah,
And this $312,891.
yeah.
And then the same with each one of these, includes the first part and coming back next year.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
so,
make sure we're on the same page.
do you,
I don't wanna get in the middle of the project and be short money.
so if we do 1.1 million, that gives us an extra 34 million, 34,000, plus you're hoping to get it for less, right?
I'm hoping the prices are going down, and Crooker said that what they will do is the contract that they've got from 2 or 3 years ago, they will honor that contract and use the asphalt escalator. So whatever the liquid asphalt prices have dropped since then.
So it'd be a de-escalator this year.
Well, that's what I guess that's what. Somehow I don't. But they will give us that savings. So it's the same thing, less whatever the liquid asphalt price drops.
So,
And if we can coordinate timing with, I don't know if Panel's planning any paving projects or Freeport's planning any, if we can coordinate timing with neighboring towns, is there a potential for some cost savings there as well?
What they did say is there would be some cost savings if we did the whole thing.
All three sections.
And they don't have to remobilize, they can just set up and go, that there would be,
So these three prices could potentially be a little less if we did all that,
they probably will be. And liquid, I mean,
provided the price of the barrel price
keeps
doesn't
dropping.
start back up all of a sudden next week,
Right.
which it could do, who knows when.
And in terms of access, do they do one side
Yep.
and then the other? There aren't a lot of side roads in that section for people
Yep.
to access there.
And plus, we could put it out there that it's going to happen, and I would be surprised if anybody was not gonna be patient now that they see it happen.
Everyone will adjust.
Well, this is a very fast process.
Do you anticipate having to cut back any trees or anything like that in any
Yeah.
specific area? Yeah, because that's
I went
part
up-
of the problem,
I went
yeah.
up and saw some. There's some I'm gonna go paint, actually. They're well inside the stone wall, so I'm comfortable with that. And if it gets in somebody's front yard, then I'd wanna go talk to them and we deal with that a little bit differently, but.
Better
But
swing
I
on it
suspect
and
you will find
ask them first.
cooperation among the neighbors on that road if they have to lose a tree to.
Yeah, in fact, there's some that I'm gonna have to go talk to the neighbors about and see, because if I can't cut, I won't be able to get a ditch, and I'm gonna have to put an underdrain system in that section. So there could be some, but if I come up 6 inches, I'm hoping that I can get the water to, but if you look at the areas where there's no ditch, there is just the road falls apart. So that's gonna be part of the process. We're gonna be out cutting trees this winter, that's part of what we'll be taking care of, and I've got the 4,000 hopefully in the budget for.
I don't think we cut it any further than that, no.
No, I think we left it right where it was that
Yeah.
night.
So if we include as part of a capital project, what's your experience on how long you should bond a road for?
I usually don't get involved in that.
Okay. I didn't know if you'd seen it, because, I mean, if you're going 1.1 million, if you do a 10-year bond, that's $110,000 before any interest is added in a year. So you're probably talking closer to 130,000 or something like that
Yeah.
per year.
And you wouldn't wanna go more than 10 years. Your road ain't gonna last longer than that.
I would think you'd want to go less.
I would think so too, but,
But that, I mean, it's gonna be a tax hit.
right.
I know where it came from, where I just came from. I let the town manager deal with that. And there was some issues when all of a sudden my annual road budget was now going to pay for the bond that I guess nobody thought about paying the payments on.
Did you see if MMA has a recommendation on that, maybe?
Sure.
I mean, because you don't, when you bond something, you don't want to bond it for for the whole life of it or for longer than the life of
Right,
it.
if it's got a 10-year life, I mean,
I want to tweak it out to 8 years or something, but just to ease up on the taxpayer's sum.
Right.
And
Then we'll put a,
But I think we have reached a point where some of this, I just look at the budget, I lay awake at night. I mean, I look at some of the numbers and I know it's gonna be a hit, but I also feel like a lot of this stuff has been pushed out for a very long time so as to avoid the hit, and
You can't even kick a can down
so
the road.
you said you investigated, and that road was originally paved about almost 40 years ago and really hasn't had anything much done to it since?
right, so been out looking at roads, and you look at when the road, like when I put a 0 here, if the road starts to lose its profile, then what happens is that holds water. So it's a compound problem. That area now holds water in that spot. Now the vehicles hit that, so now it goes further, and then the water gets in and saturates it more, so now the vehicles hit it. So it's a compound where if you overlay them before that starts to happen, you won't have the roads doing this. It's not that there's no bottom, nearly as much as it is that they've just been let go once they lost their profile. They didn't get overlaid.
well, and it interferes with the ability to plow them effectively, it interferes with,
Costs us more money in salt. And
costs us more,
tears
you
the
know, it's
trucks
harder
apart.
for the fire truck, it spreads out to everything.
Residents' vehicles. Yeah.
Residents' vehicles, you can pay it in property tax, you can pay it in auto repair, I guess, is.
We find parts to cars on the side of the road every day. It's like there's a ball joint. I saw a tie rod the other day. The whole time it's like, if that came out of a car, I don't know. I don't know
putting
where.
that out in front of my house, because they hit that every time and they don't seem to bother them any. I don't know if they're trying to smooth out a rough spot on the bottom of the frame or what, but
There's sand in the bottom.
I think after the first 20 times you'd realize it's saying slow down, but they don't.
Somebody is not driving their own car.
Driving
I don't know.
mommy and daddy's car.
No.
I expect any time to have a knock on the door, because it's laying in the ditch all apart, because I'm probably not gonna be real sympathetic to them, but.
So for capital, we're gonna have this for capital, and we're gonna need to put out, so we also need to put out for the
The truck.
We do have 230-some thousand, I believe, in the capital fund that we can use to help defray some of the costs this year.
So do you wanna pay cash for are you looking to pay cash for the truck or bond?
I was looking to take 100,000. Personally, I was looking to take 100,000 out of what we set aside for capital, and then raise the other 100,000, rather than doing any bonding. Just
What I'm thinking is that if we do a bond, the first payment's not gonna be due until next year. So maybe it would be,
well, the reason why I'm thinking that, I'm thinking from this will be the year that it hits, and then it will stay the same. Basically, we'll be putting we'd put $100,000 aside to replace a truck every 2 years. And so next year, we put it into the capital fund, and the year after, we'd use 100,000 plus the 100,000 we put aside next year. And
So you're saying then you'd be paying for the truck?
yeah, and then that, because we know that we have 7 trucks, something like that. Life expectancy is roughly 10 years. This is actually, if you replace every 2 years, that puts you on a 14-year cycle.
Did we buy one new or two new?
2 new.
2 new. So we have 5
5
old.
And one of them is considered a spare.
Was something wrong with one of those trucks today? I saw Josh stop at the end of Day Road, and he was getting out and looking at the front, and then it looked like Scott maybe came up behind him and helped him with something, and then they.
New truck?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't believe so.
No.
I doubt it.
So, I mean, I see this as an ongoing, it's gonna be an ongoing expense, and once we get it in there, I mean, yeah, it'll increase as truck prices increase or so on. We might have to increase the amount we put aside, but it's gonna be the first time putting it in there. That's gonna,
so do you wanna put $100,000 into the capital account, is what you're saying, or
Well-
taking 100,000 out to pay for the truck?
well, so in this year, you take 100,000 out to help pay for it, plus 100,000 in taxes, right? So that's the 200,000 roughly.
Okay.
Next year, you put 100,000 into the capital fund, and the year after, which would come out of taxes, the year after you do the 100,000, you could take that.
So you're always adding 100,000 to
Yeah,
the budget.
right.
It's either going in the capital or it's going to buy a truck.
Right,
The capital for the town garage, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, we're buying a half a truck every year.
Yeah. And now we might have to, because the actual quote came in slightly more than 200,000, so we'll have to.
I just got the updated quote. It's 204,000. And they had given me a quote of 185, but when we actually sat down and did the numbers, over the phone, the number they gave me was 185, but when I sat down and did the numbers, it comes out to 204. So I've got to talk to HP to see if their numbers got jacked up or what.
Is that the same type of truck that we have?
Same exact truck.
Yeah.
Same dealership, same.
I think I have the 118, 396 for the truck plus
Plus the-
85, 999
Right.
for the, yeah.
86 comes up to 204.
Yeah, that looks, yeah.
Yeah, that's higher than what I had.
What they gave you over the phone.
Yeah.
So we actually have to plan for that. So if we took, if we split it in half, took half from the capital and half from the other, and then the rest of the capital we could use for the first, that'd be roughly $130,000 left. We could use to help out with the first year, or maybe take a portion of it this year, so that you.
Well, that's the other
spread
thing
it
is
out.
if we're looking at essentially a half a truck a year, we're gonna have to be putting more than that in the capital account because trucks are not our only capital expense. There's gonna be bond payment on the road, we have other equipment.
Well, yeah,
that-
that's what they forgot up there where I came from, is the bond payment on the road.
Right now, the bond payment, we don't have the capital fund, so right now, bond payments are going to have to come out of taxes. And I don't see that there's any, unless they want to double hit and start putting money aside as well. We don't have enough, we don't have anywhere, we haven't been setting aside for it.
No, we only created it last year.
And I mean, we should have probably been either doing the roads or setting money aside a long time ago, but,
We've been afraid to raise the mill rate at all on our end.
and so,
Did-
you could start putting more money aside in it, but then you're still having to pay for the bond and you're putting money aside, and it's gonna double it. And it might be the most fiscally responsible way, but when you look at it from the tax side,
Oh, it's brutal.
yes. I mean, and this year, if what we ask for, which is what we think we need, goes through, it is going to be an extremely brutal hit. And we've known it's been coming. We've been warning that it's coming, but
Well, the thing is, if we don't start fixing the roads, they're gonna get worse and more expensive. It's a compound problem, so.
I mean, yeah, this is actually, in the grand scheme of things, the numbers that you've put forward to do Runaround and Rabbit to go end to end on that are
Way better than what we were looking at
right,
before.
much more palatable than I anticipated that they
Well,
would.
then, yeah.
it allows our crews to do it allows our crews to do the other things that we need to
But
get
it
done
also
too.
needs the ditching and all the other work that needs to be done.
So obviously that's probably going to be the priority for ditching this year, is getting those roads ditched.
The trees, yeah.
Are we gonna?
We'll be on that.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to do all that.
Well, we'll end up doing some on the base coat before they put the second coat down in the spring following year, but we'll stay on it. We'll be faster at it this year than we were last year, but.
And then it's just the same question that I had last night when we talked about bonds.
She got an answer.
Do we have our debt
Oh,
ratio?
it's 7.5% of the state's valuation, and our state valuation is somewhere around 300 59,000, so basically we could borrow up to $26 million, and still be within our limits.
Let's not.
It's not.
Let's not.
Okay, so,
I did hear back from one of the, I had another company look at the truck, give me a price on the truck, International. And they'd call me back with a trade number for that truck of like $20,000, which I was surprised. I haven't had time to process that number yet. I just got a voicemail. I gotta go actually get the numbers, get something from them in writing. But so if you took 20,000, let's say, in trade for that, for the old spare truck.
and anything that you do that way either goes back, so if you sell it, it would go back into the capital fund, or if you trade it, it takes it off the purchase price.
Right, take it off the purchase price. So then we would be back in the 180,
Right.
185 range.
So, feel easier.
Okay, let us know on that, because as we get, if we find out that we can get that amount, we can remove that from what we're asking for.
Right,
So,
Is that,
because it would be, you said it would be trade-in,
right.
though,
Because you can't sell those.
Yeah.
The town of Powell has tried it, and they always get stuck with them every time. And
okay. Was there anything else we needed to look at on Public Works, because I'd like to let them go if.
I slept 2 days ago. I think it was Monday, and today's Tuesday, yeah, so.
no, I think we did all the other part the other night, for the most part.
Okay.
I would follow up with those guys though, because they definitely were looking at something down there this morning. I mean, he was.
Oh, this morning?
Yeah, he was stopped for a good 5-10 minutes, and he was just, he was out looking at the front end of the truck, and then he got in, and he radioed to somebody, I guess, and I couldn't tell, it looked like Scott, was Scott in one of the older trucks plowing today? So he came down, they both were looking at something, and then they turned around and headed out, so.
I just can't imagine what, but it seemed
Yeah,
like
I mean, it was the brand new truck, so
So-
I don't know.
It might have been one of the dials, the settings on the dials for the salt he puts out.
Maybe that could be, whatever it was, he was, you know, once Scott came and did something, they were on the way again, so.
It was probably, he had to have the dial adjusted in the computer to
I see.
puts out the salt. He was having some trouble figuring that out, so.
So, are we all set on roads right now?
Yeah.
And I appreciate, I know you've had a very busy week, so I appreciate you turning this around so quickly.
Can we go back to, I'd like to try to finish this up tonight so she can put the packets together, and
Thanks, Calvin.
so,
Where do you wanna go?
administrative, because there's a couple things that we need to,
These are my notes on the Tri-Town when we get to the penguins.
yeah. Number one, we need to look at,
Jeff, can I check? Did we make a decision on what we're gonna do with the roads? Are we gonna put out for the bond for
I
that?
think we're gonna do a
Yeah, we're gonna-
1.1 million.
We're gonna do the
Okay.
runaround.
Okay.
Yeah, run around rabbit.
Yeah.
So you guys need to vote on that, or did you?
We-
Did I miss that part?
Well, right now, eventually, we're gonna have to vote on a warrant. Right now, this is,
Actually, we'll vote on each
we're
one.
putting this together for the budget committee to
Okay.
look at, and then afterwards, we actually we'll vote for the full warrant.
Well, you weren't that.
Looks like-
you weren't
sounds
that
like a good
sick.
plan,
You
though.
didn't miss it.
I didn't know if I slept through it.
So,
There we go, okay.
first off, are we going to,
Get some rest. Thank you.
are we going to support the codes officer going full-time and push for that?
I struggle with that, especially now, we're just talking about a $1.1 million bond, I mean,
I think that the work that the codes officer is doing is increasing municipal revenues.
I'm concerned we're wearing him out.
yeah.
And he's not happy because he's not able to complete what he needs to complete.
Right.
He has shown that, I mean, there's been a marked increase in the revenues coming in through that office.
Right.
The one thing I might change on what we have here, if I can find it, or if it was it already changed, code enforcement salary.
If
I
we-
would take out the 2% raise because I would consider the health benefits as being the raise this year.
And I would, if the position is gonna move to full-time, I understand that with a new comp plan, everybody uses outside consultants and what have you, but I would like at least some of that to fall.
I would-
If
I
that's
would-
gonna be an expanded position, I would like.
I would
him
think
to
it would be
take the lead.
spearheaded, yeah.
Right,
by
I'd like
that,
him to
but,
spearhead
yeah.
that
And
process.
I would maybe make it into a town planner / codes officer.
Codes planner.
Yeah. But what would be the amount if we took out the 2% raise?
Well, he wouldn't go full-time until after town meeting, so if we took out the 2% raise, so if we took out the 2% raise and took into account that he'd be working his normal hours until after town meeting, you're looking at his salary next year being $37,180.
That's, minus 180. So minus 700 and
37, how much?
37,180
80. So I
for
think that's
39
minus
weeks at the higher hours of 14 weeks.
$744. And that would make a small change on some of the other lines.
Yep.
Then, at this point, it's been put in each line, 2% raise, 2% raise, 2% raise, 2% raise.
I did take those out.
I would like to do the raise pool.
Yeah.
Take that whole amount and put it into the raise pool at the bottom, and then that way we can determine,
Where it goes.
afterwards where it goes, yeah.
Right, we can have a
Um,
executive session.
Another thing to note, and you've probably all seen it, the secretary has even,
Yes.
It's not in the budget, but the secretary has asked for a raise.
Yes,
And,
and that's something we can talk about, I think, when we talk about allocating the raise pool.
because
Well,
hers, it wouldn't, what she has up here doesn't include a raise for there, so,
We want to put it in then.
or or it just means that the rest of what we give out might be a little bit lower or something like that, so.
Let me give you an updated copy.
That won't make a change to the bottom line, it's just how we display it. Was there anything else that we needed to, any other things that we needed to discuss on that?
Because a 2% raise on that line is like less than $100. It's like
On what
less-
line? On-
yeah, it's like less than
On what, the
$70.
secretary line, no, yeah, I mean, and she, I'm not sure exactly, I don't remember what she asked for. She didn't ask for a percentage, she asked for
Yeah.
a
No.
a
50 cents or
figure.
something.
3328.
For her,
Or do you have something from her specifically?
yeah, she had a specific request, I'm trying to see if it's in, I thought I had it in here.
No, it was just- Oh, yeah, I was just thinking if we just took the 2% and added it to the pool and then sorted it.
There it is, so she is asking 30 cents an hour, which is actually
I'm gonna get you each one of these too.
slightly under 2%. It's very, very close to 2%.
Well, we just call it 2%.
So, and the total difference, because there's two departments that she's paid out of, would be $107.86. But there's two departments that it's paid out of.
There's a new one for you.
This is the update of what we just talked about.
Yeah. I had already done most of those numbers. The only thing that's not included, I missed any of the conversation about the secretary.
Yeah,
Josh?
so for secretary, we need to add like 60, if we were gonna do a 2%, we need to add like $67 or something.
Separate pages here.
My 2,000. Thank you. Nope, you got it, that, you keep it all.
So, yeah, if you could add like $67 or something like that to that line, just that, it gives us the ability to.
Now I'd have to add some into the other lines,
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to,
or you wanna just kinda,
if you could just, if you could figure it out, because you're gonna have to take some away too from, or if we, took away the raise on the code enforcement, we have to take away some of that down below too.
So the
well,
bottom.
I didn't include,
This doesn't reflect the raise.
it doesn't reflect, it only reflects the 3 full-time people
Right.
in the office.
But, what I'm saying is, that will affect MEPRS.
Right, that's already the new.
Yeah, it's all reflected.
Oh, that's already calculated
Yeah.
here, okay. So adding the $67 will adjust those numbers some too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So really the bulk of the increase, I mean, looking through it, virtually all of the increase in the administrative is whether or not we make the change from a part-time to a full-time.
And, yeah, we've got a couple $1,000s for workers' comp.
Right, which we can't control, that premium is established.
No, wait a sec, increase, no, that was only,
Yeah, there wasn't that much
that
for,
was only 654. There was, thought there was another large line that, but there's, 10,000, 5,000, 16,000 plus 1, 16. So 16 is basically, 16 out of the increase is on that. I'm trying to see.
Elections.
Election payroll was another 4,000 because this year's gonna be a big year.
Right,
for-
and there's nothing, again, that we
Yeah.
can do about that.
Yeah.
So the only, in real terms, the only way to bring this budget down would be it comes down to whether or not we go to a full-time codes planning position. That's really the only thing that
Yeah.
is a variable.
So,
You know, I've heard from contractors that have said it would be nice if he was available more days so that they could, you know, they wouldn't have to wait a week to get an inspection done and stuff, so.
why he's available 4 days a week, or 3 days a week. They shouldn't have to wait a week, I wouldn't think, unless he's.
This was back in the spring, back in, early last year, so I mean, it's not a bad thing to have him here more hours.
I mean,
It's certainly been busy and he seems to be supporting his position.
I would think he should, if we increase it, I would like to see him block off some time where he isn't available too, so that, because there's a lot of things that he has to focus on outside, and if he's available to the public and available to contractors the whole time,
Yeah,
It
the
can-
other stuff won't get done.
it can suck his time.
he had talked about wanting to do some of his hours on Wednesday when the office is not open.
Yeah.
And then he would be able to do paperwork and other assorted tasks that he has to do.
And obviously, the more permits and what have you that he's issuing and working with the tax assessor, there is some revenue translation to increased assessed value.
So are we good with that for now, or, I mean, I support it. I
I feel like we
I
have to
can see
justify
that.
it though on the town floor, you know? We get to-
Well, yeah, we've
we can
had,
speak to that.
we've had this much paper justifying it.
Yeah,
Several trees.
right.
I mean, when you look, I mean, when you look at the amount of permits that have how much the permits have increased, how much that were actually, there's
That may be
communication.
something to look at historically, because we have focused on the fact that the number of permits being issued is covering a large portion of the expenses of that position. And I don't know if we were to look back 5 years and see kind of what the comparison.
Well, I think we went back 4 or 5 years.
I went back 6 years.
Now, if you went back to the 1990s, there was a period of time when, especially just new building permits
Right.
increased tremendously, and
It was like 75 or something in a year.
Yeah,
That's why the
eventually they-
moratorium got put on.
eventually they put it limited 45 or something.
Right,
And,
yeah. 75.
I don't think we've been anywhere near that many new building permits for
No.
quite a long time.
Right. Right. But I think also that he's been spending more time with the planning board and all that stuff too than in past, and trying to make sure that everything falls in line with what he's supposed to do, and our comprehensive plan, which is a mess. So I think, he's really trying to get stuff straightened out, and I know he likes to do a good job. I could support that.
I think
It's
spending the
moving
time to
forward
get
fast.
everything in order has the potential to save us tremendous headaches down the road.
Yeah.
And I think spending the time and making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be could serve us well in the future.
Bottom line, I hate to spend any money.
I do
But-
too.
Some point in time, you've gotta be, as Alan would put it, fiscally responsible.
And
You just, it is what it is. I mean, we can't keep making the town side suffer because of other things that we've been putting off that we have to pay first. It's just.
That's
Sooner or
it.
later, we all
We've
go back to
we've
pulling,
done that for the
yes.
last several years, and we've got several things coming ahead all at once, so it's gonna hurt, but
I mean, for, what was it, 4 or 5 years, we kept taking money out of the overlay to help keep the taxes down to a point where you can't keep doing that forever.
Right.
So, we thought it would help
We're
us.
also really only talking, if this is a 5% increase, it's a 5% increase on 25% of the tax bill. It's
Right.
not a.
And for the past several years now, part of the reason why is because we've moved items out of administration to other areas. But the administration budget has actually gone down the last 2 or 3 years, largely due to moving stuff out to another item. But okay, so are we all set on administration? Is this what we want to present?
I think so.
Okay. Animal control, I think we're all set on animal
We're all
control.
set.
Assessor, we're all set. Cemetery, I think we're all set. Conservation,
I did get a response from Joe, which I think I gave to you guys, about the cemeteries, and he said that they didn't see that there was anything that they needed to do this year, as far as restoration was concerned.
Yeah.
And if you wanted him to go take another look, then he would, but.
yeah, all right. and-
I'm good with.
Yeah, I mean, I just want them to keep on top of things, because I know when I go around with the Boy Scouts putting the flags out, there's one in particular that seems like a lot of the cement work's falling apart to me. Okay, so conservation, fine. Donations, fine.
what did you guys agree with on that?
Basically going with what we did last year, except for Seniors Plus, I think dropping it back to 5.
3,000. And, every year there's a discussion with the budget committee and on the floor about whether or not we as a town should do that, or whether or not we should allow people to keep that money in their pockets and make donations where they see fit.
However, I mean, the one thing I can say is the ones that we've chosen have a huge impact on our town.
Absolutely.
I think that's why we went with them.
Yeah. Eureka Grange, did we do something about,
We did that they would be reimbursing the emergency fund.
okay,
I put it in there.
Eureka Capital Projects, that's the, so I have a budget of 0, is it
It's now
Right, we've amended that
1650.
to.
1650, okay. So, before we meet with the, budget committee, I mean, you're gonna be putting together books for them, but could we get fresh copies, and the department heads, give the department heads fresh copies of,
Yeah, that would be good.
And also copies of that, those PPOS, all that stuff, so
Yeah.
that they have.
Yep.
so, fire, EMA, we did last night, if there was anything more you wanted to do on it, I wouldn't suggest doing it without the chief here.
Sure. I don't think there's much else we can do with it, really. I think we're all set with it.
General assistance is good. All right, Parks and Recreation, we need to discuss, the recreation request, specifically the Town Rec League. I prefer to call it something other than that, cause
Well, it's called the Durham Boosters is what they're
the
registered
Durham
as.
Boosters, okay, cause
Uh,
it's not,
And that's what they're,
the Town Rec League sounds like it's sponsored by the town.
they're the boosters. They're
Um,
technically the Athletic Booster Club of Durham or something,
Okay.
I think is the.
and what was their full request on that?
7,500.
7,500.
To rebuild all the
Oh, there
fencing
it
with to rehabilitate the softball field.
So,
I feel strongly that we should support them. I think that they provide a great community service. They aren't affiliated with the town. They've not historically asked the town for money, but they serve a huge number of families in the town. They provide, if you go by, the Little League field or Saturday morning soccer, I think they provide a great sense of community. And I think that, just the fact that you kids went and played soccer in Freeport, there was very few kids did it, and it was $75 per kid. They had it in Durham for $40 per kid, all of a sudden there were 130 kids doing it. And it's,
I guess the one thing I would put on that, though, I wouldn't expect this to be the yearly,
no, this
Figure.
is this is
This is
to
one time, and-
rehabilitate.
and then I would expect to see it down somewhere near the youth baseball figures or something
Right,
like that.
my sense from the email explanation we got was that this is a one-time, let's get that field back in shape. They were able to get a large number of donations of material and lumber to do the rest of it, but they couldn't get the fencing.
So another thing on this, I'm looking to, if we go with that number, but also down below on the recreation fund, I don't think we should take that much out of it. We brought the recreation fund down quite a bit last year because of how much we took out. And I'm wondering if that's right, I never talked to Joe, I still need to talk to Joe. But if we're gonna do the bandstand this year instead of the Boy Scout project and so on, I would think maybe that money should come out of raising from taxes rather than a recreation fund.
When I did ask, because we got a request from a school club for funding, and I did ask one of our school board members as to why that was not being funded by the school. And she explained to me that was something that's decided at the school level, that the principal makes a determination about what does and doesn't get funded. It doesn't come in front of, individual club budgets don't come in front of the school board. But I did make her aware that there was a club at DCS that was looking to the town to fund it because they weren't getting funding from the school.
Is that the outing club? Or?
Yes, that's
So that's a new one too.
right, and that's strictly a Durham Community School event. That's not through the boosters or through the town. That's through the school.
I don't know. It's not a lot of money in RSU 5. It seems like they ought to be able to support those things.
For $700, I'm.
Yeah, I know, but you add that
No, I
to
agree with you. I
this.
think it should be coming, I
Yeah.
don't think that school groups should be having to come to the town for,
No, I don't think they should either.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna support this at all, we should have this should have an appropriate name, not something that it's really not. Cause they called it the Durham,
All right.
right, and it's really not, cause the town isn't really sponsoring that, so. I
right,
don't
no,
want
they're
that
called the
misunderstood.
Athletic Booster Club of Durham.
That's what they're calling this now? This,
That's what their
the
organization.
Jake
That's
Webb,
what their
Yeah,
organization
that's what
is actually
they're,
called.
they are a registered nonprofit, and that's what their organization is actually
He
called.
just,
he just called it something else.
yeah, in the email, he called it the Durham Rec.
Or he has
Yeah.
said it acts as a de facto town rec department because there isn't one. But,
So,
Hey, it might go through, but I don't know. I mean, I know it's $7,500, but it's,
I was wondering about funding half of the request, but, it's something, but I don't know. I mean, I know, they do have it well laid out what they're looking for and why they're looking for it.
you got these guys wanting money, and you got these guys wanting money. I mean, everybody,
That's
their
what
brothers want
everybody
money.
that's sat in this seat in the last couple of weeks has wanted more money.
as I said to the chief last night, if we gave everybody what they wanted, they'd have all the ambulance run money they could.
I mean, I know it doesn't, it sounds harsh, but that's why I said what I said last night, everybody's looking out for their own entity, but we gotta try to look out for all the entities, the taxpayers too, and I know they do think of that, but they're still fighting for their own thing, and it's, it makes it tough, and then we gotta sit up there and say, well, this is why we support that, It's- especially in a year where our taxes are gonna go up hard, I mean, we're gonna start paying whatever the school budget goes up, 8% average, plus the bond, and whatever that's gonna come
Well,
up
and
to.
the school has done a good job, I think, this
So
year.
it's-
The new superintendent has done a good job of keeping that in check, at least so far.
Well, let's see what they come up with.
Yeah,
on
but
the
when it gets
floor.
down to that town floor where it goes all fooey usually.
So is the desire to keep this or change it?
I was gonna say, I was gonna offer what we offer Cal Ripken.
Well, did we ask Cal Ripken what they were,
Yeah, there's paper in here for that too.
what their intent was with the?
I know, that's not very much, is it? When
I
it
mean,
comes
I
down to
know
what they're
that
asking for.
historically, the town had funded softball and then for the last several years.
Right, and that's why I was thinking the 3750 kind of makes.
I just got an email from Rod from the Cal Ripken. He said, we do use the DCS softball field to practice and play games on. And they practice sometimes on the baseball field.
Right, that, Mike had asked that about why the softball didn't use the booster softball didn't use the school fields. And because the middle school team, the Cal Ripken, they use the school fields
Yeah.
every night. So.
And he states that in here.
So, I mean, that's the reason why I was thinking 3750. One of them is it's been 2 or 3 years since we did anything for the softball, and so it gives them half of it. They can do. They can at least do some of the upgrades that they want to do. But
I was just looking for that email, and in all the paper that I have shuffled, I can't lay
Which
my
one?
hands on it. The email that laid out the expenses for
he's got it here.
the field. I just wanted to make sure that we,
Yeah, I
however
don't know
we.
where, yeah, I got this one here from Jake. That's one you want?
Yeah, I just wanted to see that if we were gonna do it as a partial, that we did it in some way that made sense, because he gave the expense breakdown, rather than funding, part of one thing. So item A.
Kind of bulky without the.
realize that,
So
yeah.
if you did if you did half, they could do the outfield fence, but they couldn't do the dugout fencing and the backstop. I just, rather than giving,
Mhm.
it's one of those things that if you only give part of,
Or,
then nothing gets done.
Right.
And then everybody gets frustrated because they say, well, we just allocated that money and we didn't see
or they
anything
could
happen.
do items C, D, E, and F almost.
Well, they can figure out what's more
Yeah.
important to them.
I mean.
Or
it's-
they can,
Yeah.
there's plenty of landscapers.
Well, you can't
Maybe they
can't
talked, or maybe they
do,
haven't, I don't know.
you can't do C until you've done A and B because that
Ah.
runs along, that's fence topper, it runs along the top of the fence.
Don't we have any old snow fence they can borrow? Well, it's better than nothing for a year.
So, I guess we need to make up our minds, what are we gonna present to the, budget committee?
I mean, I would move to grant the request as issued with the understanding that it is a one-time, it's not gonna be an every year thing, but it's to get that field back in shape so that kids can use it.
You're talking the full amount?
Yep.
I was down to 15, so we're gonna have to negotiate here somewhere.
I had to put a motion on the table to get the ball rolling. Or I guess this isn't motions, this is just a
Yeah.
discussion as to what's coming up.
Either that, or you can put it on there without a recommendation and let the townspeople decide. And he can get up and choose for it.
Yep.
I mean, that's another option.
And there may be, a way to divide it into two projects. Do it as the outfield fence one year and the backstop the following year, or, something to that effect.
So, that would have to be about 5,000 for the outfield fence with the rubber coating on the top. Would be about 5,000.
Oh, it says 34,8750. Or you're
Well,
including something else?
The rubber coated fence topper, no, C.
To prevent injury.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the extra, okay. I thought it was in the same line.
And probably.
We could support half of it, and he can get on the town floor and mend it. If he feels strong enough, and I'm sure he does, so. I mean, I don't, it's not that I don't wanna give him some, I mean, my wife run one of them classes over there. I used to help her and donate stuff and time all the time, and I still would, if I
Absolutely.
have it, but,
Oh, absolutely.
they're not looking at the budget we're looking at.
So what are your thoughts?
Well,
Personally, he wants to go with 1,500, but he's willing to,
Yeah.
willing to
because that's what
compromise.
we've been giving Cal Ripken, that's why I said that, you
Yeah.
know.
I was suggesting half of it, 3,750.
I could probably live with that at this point, to move it along.
Even if they can only do one item or something like that, it gets them along the way, and next year maybe we do another or something like that. It's as I've been encouraging, and several of them, like with the voting booths, maybe we do one this year and one,
Right, absolutely.
things like that. But
And this is a really tough year, I
Mhm.
appreciate that.
That's-
It's just,
That's my thought.
yeah, it's every time we turn around, it's something else.
so if we did that, that would take 3,750 out of the bottom line.
I mean, it's one of them, you gotta tighten your belt. Yeah, got it tonight.
I would take the 7. I don't
I did.
think it's a school club, it's not open to everybody.
You take the
and,
7 out too? I would.
It's a school, it's not open to, it's only open to
Right.
kids that are at that school, it's not open town-wide, it's not
Right.
it's not a town
So
activity.
I'd be
I
fine.
would love to be able to help them, I think they do great things, but I feel like that's the school's responsibility
I feel
to
like it
support
is
their
too.
clubs.
So if we did that, and we could we add,
Hold up,
no, add $700 to the, that rec request and make it $44.50. That would almost get, that would could, looking at the thing, cause the topper was for the outfield fence and I think for the other fence for B as well.
Right.
And so they could probably
get 'em
finish
The outfield fence.
with the topper
Went
and,
from 15 to 37.50.
Now you're asking him to go to
Okay.
44.
all right, no, I mean, I just throw that out there, so.
I understand, I get you.
So if we don't, if we, everybody's okay with taking out the outing club?
Yeah,
Okay, so if we do the $37.50 and take out the outing club, that's minus $44.50.
I mean, like I say, he can come to the town, and if the town votes to do it,
Yeah, somebody
Hey,
can
that's-
always
that's
stand
what
on
it
the
is.
floor and increase it.
that's
you know.
right, so.
And I'd like to suggest that we move half of the War Memorial flag upkeep maintenance line, or we'll call it 2,500 to make it an even number, from recreation funds to raising, because I'm afraid we may be depleting our recreation funds too quickly.
And I would like to see,
Now, is that gonna be used towards the gazebo? What did you guys
Well,
decide?
that's what we had talked about. I still haven't talked to Joe to find out.
I would like to see some, I mean, this is an individual's project towards their Eagle Scout, which is a huge deal. But I feel like there should be, as part of it, some fundraising.
And I believe there had been some thought to that for the
Walkway.
the walkway, kind of a brick deal like over at the school, but I don't know. I haven't seen the project plan yet, so. But that could be something that could be started this year, or something like
But
that.
at the
And
very least, I think we've gotta get the fifth pole.
fifth flagpole,
Yeah,
and we
right.
need to do something with the gazebo,
Agree.
because otherwise, why keep it there?
Yeah, I agree, yeah. And we don't really have that in here yet, we don't even have
Well-
a price of that,
3,000 to 5,000 is what Paul was expecting it to be.
just to replace the posts and stuff. Okay.
To do that, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
And hopefully that would be enough. Hopefully there's enough there to do the flagpole and that, or if at least start on it.
Well, if it's close, the lady that was pushing for this said she'd help at one point, so we can
Mhm.
always ask her.
So, and I would work, if we do the flagpole this year, one flagpole this year, I would work with I'd suggest we work with the scouts as far as placement. And
Absolutely.
I would
To
probably,
stay consistent with their plan.
yeah, and I'll throw this out there, you might wanna keep in mind that of the National Guard flag, I've heard that thrown out there. And I know that it may not be a direct branch, but it's like, they have Army National Guard, and they have,
Well, that's
Right, they all
that's the
fall
whole.
within the
They
umbrella.
all
Right.
fall under each of the other branches.
right,
And now the reason for that is to keep the symmetry, because they weren't staggered when they
Right,
put them
yeah.
in. To keep the symmetry, adding a sixth pole.
Right, there was some
And-
talk of Merchant Marine, there was
Yeah,
some talk.
so, and that's something that can be discussed. This year, we just need to do the one pole, make sure it gets placed correctly to look okay, to look right, and to be okay if they do add a sixth pole as
Right.
well. But,
okay.
so, with those changes, what would be coming out of the recreation fund there?
So with the changes and with the $2,500 being raised, it would be $10,320 out of the recreation fund.
Okay, does the conservation take out of the recreation fund too? Or is that?
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
2150.
2150. How much is actually in it? Recreation fund currently has,
Can you hand that back to me? Did I hand you that? I mean, you handed me that, I think.
No,
before
you already gave it back
Oh,
to me.
I finally found my own.
so currently it has 16,505. We only brought in $4,600 or so into the recreation fund last year, which is, but one thing I'm noticing here, we have, why are we only taking 2,400 out of the park fees when we receive 4,500?
We could take more.
Because it looks like other years we've brought it to zero, and then we bring it to zero, and then what we get from the state.
We replenish.
Okay, we could do that.
As long as we can show it. I think we have to show it's going towards there, right? Or not?
Well, that was my question. Do we have to show that it's going towards the actual park, and does it have to be a specific park?
I don't know.
That's a good question, huh?
Yeah, maybe find out, because that 2,400 exactly matches what we're requesting for Runaround Pond Park.
Yes, and that's why I did it that way, because I thought perhaps you needed to match it, but I don't know.
Yeah, find out, and if we can use it, then we might as well use it, because I don't know why it jumped so much this year. I mean, it almost doubled.
I'm not entirely sure what that money comes from. It's from the state, but I don't know.
People that buy state park passes, the per capita.
Is that what it is, you think?
Ah, that's, gotcha.
Completely made up. It was my logic.
Damn, I took him out of
Well,
there.
it was good logic, because he had me fooled.
Okay, so you'll find out about that, and if we can take some more out of that would be good.
Okay. Yeah.
Planning and appeals, we need to add in a raise pool for the secretary on that one, which 2% is going to be close to $46, something like that.
So if we're gonna give the secretary a raise, are we gonna give the cleaning lady a raise as well?
A good question. With the cleaning, I don't think it's going to bust. There again, it's not going to bust the budget if we move a few dollars here or there. But yeah. So when the things pass, then we can determine exactly how we know how much we have, and we can determine how we'll do it. But,
So you wanna do it as a raise pool? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, in
Yeah.
there. It could actually, in that line, it could actually go under the planning board secretary line, because there's only one.
Right,
Yeah.
right, but as far as the cleaning,
Cleaning, yeah, we might have to adjust. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. But yeah, with the cleaning, you mentioned that there's going to be more hours too.
And it also indicates this 2016 budget increases the number of planning board hours for the planning board secretary, and I believe her letter specifically stated that it only pertained to, but it didn't include planning,
No, it didn't include elections.
didn't include election, okay, thank you, I knew there was an exclusion, I just couldn't.
So, public works is done, solid waste is done, telecom is done, I
Can we
think.
back up for a second to planning board?
Yeah.
And appeals, because I don't know where else we would put it. I know we have talked about this a little bit, but I want to revisit the idea of if we are going to start moving forward, as we have to start moving forward on some comp plan, and at least putting a committee, and I know we talked about not putting in a big chunk of money, but do you think there is some value in putting at least some money in for a comp plan committee, so if they've got to do research or make copies or do advertising or do any of those things, we've got at least some funds to work with?
It does make sense, yes.
I don't want to be the person adding money at this point, but I do know that the comp plan does have to be a priority, and
Yeah, it does, especially since I was thinking it had already been
No, we had
taken care
discussed
of a long time ago.
Yeah, we had actually discussed it at one of our meetings, and I thought we had kind of.
well, I know you
Felt
had
that-
said
yeah.
getting a committee together midsummer, but I just wondered if even just a little bit of money, so that if they have to do advertising, or if there's anything, or maps, or if there's stuff that in the course of, as they get the ball rolling, mailings for a survey or any of that stuff, so that they've got, at least got a little bit of funds to work with. I really don't know enough about sort of how the ball gets rolling in that process, but I know that it's going to involve getting input from the people of the community, which may require either advertising or mailers or some kind of postcards, some kind of communication.
Was there a number you was thinking of?
Not specifically, just sort of off the cuff, thinking about the costs of mailings and what have you. I don't know if like $1,000 or, Ruth, do you have any thoughts?
Depends on if they need to do any maps, but, well, I mean, if you figure 20,000 is the round estimate that I get when I talk to people about possibly doing a comp plan, and you want to make most of that money go towards the second and third year, well, it's a 2-year process, but so it'd be part this year, all next year, and then hopefully get passed in the town meeting of April of 2018. I don't know, maybe take a quarter of it, like 5,000 or 1,000.
I mean, I'm having a hard time. I mean, we already have a 16% increase in this budget line.
Yeah. When's Paul gonna be back?
Paul's going to be back next Tuesday.
It's certainly something to maybe or discuss with the budget committee, but I don't want to, I think we are up against the wall on trying to move forward with that, and I don't want to convene a committee that then can't do anything and it spends months twiddling their thumbs because they don't have the $200 to do a mailing or to do whatever it is or to get a map or.
How about we take $1,000 out of the legal line? My budget can absorb that, probably. Knock on wood.
No, if
So
we
move 1,000 from legal to comp plan expenses or comp plan.
I could live with that.
Yeah, I guess I could too.
It's $1,000.
Boy, I don't know, it don't take long to eat up $1,000.
No, but I mean, I'm expecting that. I mean, forget why. Paul was suggesting sometime early summer because of something to do in, I forget what it was. There was some timing things he was talking about, like, but I forget what it was. Oh, so that they could do polling at the
election.
at the elections.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also that would give them 2 full years to have it ready for April 2018, just about.
Okay. I mean, I could do the 1,000. It gives them a start. They may not not be able to do everything, but
And they may not need it, but just so that as they're getting the ball rolling, if stuff comes up.
You're saying add 1,000 as opposed to taking 1,000 out?
no, take the 1,000 out of the legal and
Okay.
add it to comp plan.
Right, we're just
All right.
moving it around.
I could live with that, I guess.
I mean, that keeps it the same. I mean, it's a 16% increase, and we increased it quite a bit last year by adding the ordinance review.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 16%, but it's less than $2,500.
No, I know, but now, yeah, it would be 22. It'd still be 2,200. So, if we did another 1,000 on top of that, then it would be 24%.
People gotta understand that things are changing in the town, and we need to have the ordinance review, we need to have a comprehensive plan.
Are we, if we do that, are we set with the budget now? Do we have?
And I think
I
solid
think-
waste is contract and telecom we've done.
Yeah, so we can get to, that stuff off to the budget committee and they can set up the meetings for us.
Yeah, I'll do these and make new copies, and I'll email the new ones to those of you who use email, and I'll make copies for you. I'll make copies for them too, but
Was there anything? Do we need to do anything, public on, section 9, or will we do that later, at a later date, maybe at our next meeting? We'll discuss things, and then we'll do the public thing on it. I don't know. On Roman numeral 9.
Yeah, well, it's,
Well, we can do something on that at a later date, but we'll do the executive session tonight. So upcoming meetings, regular meetings held here Tuesday, February 23rd and Tuesday, March 8th at 6:30 p.m. Nomination papers are still available for 2 selectmen, 3 budget committee members, and 1 school board member. And the deadline for turning them in is February 16th at 4:30 p.m. Town office is going to be closed. Is it the 15th?
15th.
February 15th in honor of President's Day. The preliminary school budget is available at the town office and online. I make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A personnel matters, treasurer.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. And don't forget, we have a bunch of things to sign.
Yeah, Sandy can go home.